We're going to drain the swamp of corruption. Drain the swamp. And that's what we're doing. We are going to Washington, D.C., and we are going to drain the swamp.
Is Harvey Barnard from the Nesara organization. Nesara stands for National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. It's a package that Harvey has put together, and he joins us in studio today.
I'm a systems troubleshooter. I take a look at a system for my clients and decide what's wrong, what are the problems. And we've got some real problems in this country. This time next year, we're looking at a $6 trillion debt. Nesara is the only bill out there that says we get rid of $1 trillion worth of debt up front.
Drain the swamp, and that's what we're doing.
Hi, I'm Dionese Gerbrecht, D for short. As you may know, my father was Harvey Francis Barnard, author of the National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. We can clear up a misconception right there. It is stabilization.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm Dionese Gerbrecht with my co-host FCB and his wonderful team. Welcome to the Real Nesara Show. We're so glad that y'all are here. We got a lot in store for you this evening, so hang tight with us and we're going to have a good time. We're going to be studying chapters 1 and 2 and also going to be talking about some of those people we'd rather not mention, but unfortunately we have to. Draining the Swamp, my father's book. And again, I've made it available in paperback for everybody to get it, and we're gonna show you how to do that and how to support us as well. Good evening, FCB. How are you?
Good, love. How you going? I'm excited.
I am too.
I really am looking forward to draining the swamp.
Yeah, this is going to be great. We're going to have a good time tonight. I wanted to touch base on some things that we talked about last week. I had given a homework assignment. And one of those homework assignments was to reach out or to search out the grifters, I'm just going to call them that, their post and stuff like that, and either report it as misinformation or leave a comment. And I did that many times this past week. And I went to one of them and I saw that someone had already posted 2 links to our show. And so I just want to say thank you so much for doing your homework. It was noticed, it was appreciated, and so we're gonna be making a little bit of difference. The other thing, I hope if you've got that clip, FCB, a friend of mine sent. Yeah, okay. This is a story. A friend of mine sent me a text, and it had this clip on it, and she was frantic. She was like, "Oh my God, oh my God!" And I said, "Hold on." I said, "It's fake." And I pulled up the White House website and I showed her the executive orders and that type of thing. And she was very relieved, but it made me mad. And so I did send an email. I know last show we had someone ask if I had contacted President Trump about the grifters, and I had not at that time. I have now. And so I sent him a little email saying, "Hi, dear sir, I've been trying for over 2 years to get the truth out. These people are using your image and your persona to spread lies. Please help me. Please help." And of course, attach that clip. So FCB, you want to roll that clip and show the folks what we're talking about?
Yeah, sure, love. Here we go.
Official. Starting January 1st, 2026, the Nesara framework goes into full effect. For too long, the American people and the people of the world have been trapped in a broken financial system controlled by banks and manipulated by the elites. That ends now. I can confirm that redemption centers have received their official notification and have accepted the Nesara gold coin. This is no longer speculation. This is law. By signing this order, we are recognizing the coin as the foundation of the new financial era. It is gold-backed, incorruptible, and created for the people. The reset is coming, and nothing can stop it. January 1st, 2026 will be remembered as the day freedom began.
Can you believe the disrespect, first of all, for our president is unbelievable. I was just blown away.
God, honestly, D, what is this bullshit? Sorry.
I don't know.
I'm sorry I had to say a naughty word, but you know what? There's no other way of describing it.
It's horrible. It's horrible. But that's what we're up against. Guys, this is what we're up against.
It is. And look, let's go through some other stuff I've got here that I've collected.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, because it's really disgusting, guys. It really is. And you know what? These entities. Oh, here's another one, by the way. Do you want me to roll you another one that I found?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Sorry. It's all good.
Okay.
Sorry. No, they'll be sorry, not us will be sorry. Yes. They will be sorry.
Mm-hmm. We're living through a moment in history right now, one that future generations will look back on and say, that's when everything changed. For decades, the system has been rigged. You know it. I know it. The whole world knows it. But now we are building a new economy, one based on truth, value, and real wealth. Today, I'm here to give you a critical update about the financial reset set for January 1st, 2026, and the official currency of that reset, the Nesara premium gold coin, the only gold-backed global currency of the future. Let me tell you, this coin is performing better than anyone expected. Just a few days ago, we started with 42 million coins, then we dropped to 32, then to 18, and as of this morning, we're down to just 11 million coins left. The world is waking up, folks. They're not waiting. They're buying up every last piece of this currency, and they know it's coming. And because the supply is dropping, the price is jumping. Just 24 hours ago, this coin was valued at $80,000 per unit. Today, it's $120,000 per coin. That's a $40,000 increase in one day. That's what happens when value meets velocity. And let me ask you, what do you think happens when we get down to just 1 million coins? $600,000, $800,000, maybe even $1 million per coin. Let me tell you, I don't know where it stops, but I know this. It's going to be huge. Now, this is very important. We are actively working on something historic, an official ETF approval for the Nesara coin on the United States stock market. That means this coin could soon be publicly traded. And when that happens, when Wall Street money floods in, price won't just go up, it will go parabolic. This coin will outperform Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft combined. Mark my words, we're seeing people sell cars, cash out stocks, liquidate savings just to buy these coins. And they're not crazy, they're early. Don't be the one who says, I should have gotten in when it was $199, because this is the future. This is the reset.
I can't, it's so ridiculous, guys. It really is. I mean, look, how stupid you have to be. Sorry, guys, but you have to be really stupid. Number one, he sounds like robotic Trump, right? That's what he does.
It wasn't even a good fake. and no, I tell you what I did notice, the little heart, the little like, 1993. Yeah. Okay. That's it's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, no, it's a sorry state of affairs that we're living in, and that's why we're exposing it, D. That's why we're here.
Right. That's right. We need to let people know that they're being taken for a ride.
But you know what's funny? It's in Japanese as well.
I didn't see that. I saw that at the bottom. But Yeah, FC, that's something I wanted to address with people who have been following these grifters. Okay. And to anyone who is new, who has been following them and is joining our channel now, I really appreciate you here. It takes a lot of courage, to do that. I was reminded this morning, I don't know why this story popped into my head, but it is a story about my dad. When I was a little girl, we used to go snow skiing every year. And we went about in March, and we went to Snowmass. Now, this was back in the early 70s. Snowmass was a tiny little place, had about 3 hotels and 2 restaurants and a general store. The old sheep herder's cabin was still there. If you know, you know. Now, Snowmass is this huge mecca. But I was about 6, and my father took me out to the bunny slope. Like they call it Fanny Hill. And if you were skiing in the early 70s, you remember the boots were leather and you had a strap around your leg. It was like medieval torture. But he took me out there and he taught me how to ski. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Taught me how to ski.
Peppies in your throat.
We went down the hill. We got on the lift, got to the top. And when you got to the top of the lift, when you got off, you went left to go to ski school and right to go back to the hotel. So he and I made the right turn and we stood there. And he said, okay, I want you to ski down the hill and go get in the line, ride the lift. And when you get to the top, go left. And there's your class over there. I'll be there at 3:00 to pick you up. And I said, okay, Daddy. And as I started to ski down the hill, he backed up where he could see me, but I couldn't see him. And he told me this later in life. He said, I got about halfway down and I stopped. And I turned around and looked for him and I didn't see him. And he said, right there at that moment, you had 2 choices. One was to stand there and flail and wail. And the other one was to point your skis down the hill, go get in line and go to class. And he said, that's what you did. And he said, I knew right then and there, you were going to be fine in life no matter what happened. So the reason I tell you this story is that people who have been following these grifters, you're standing on that hill. You're at that point. You have a choice. You can stand there and flail and wail, or you can get with the program and help us spread the truth. And so I hope, I appreciate, anybody who wants to come in and learn. We are so glad to have you here.
That's a beautiful story, Dee. And you know what? It makes perfect sense. I mean, we've all got choices, right? We all have choices. Choices like, if you believe this is a load of garbage. Oops, I've got to bring that in. Here we go. Look at this. You're in Japan, by the way.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
No. This is the fake Nesara, Gesara. It makes me laugh when I hear Gesara. Look at this. And it gets even more ridiculous. I mean, look, you obviously went on to Truth Social, and I just want to show people the real account, which is yours, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please share.
Which I took the pleasure of screenshotting. So look at this, guys. When I typed in Nesara,
yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
Look at this. This is just the first page, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. XRP, Nesara, Gesara, just go there. QFS, there we go. Look at these entities. Oh, he's in there quite a few times, Mr. Dr. Scott Young. He's a big grifter. Mm-hmm. And he's been doing it for a very long time, and he continues. There she is. There you are.
Got my name on it.
This is the real one.
Mm-hmm.
So please take the opportunity, everybody, and follow D over there on that correct account, which is at DG D
Gerbrecht.
That's the one.
Yep.
Right there. Okay, look at this. They haven't got Trump.
It's amazing.
It's sickening.
It's amazing.
It's really sickening, unfortunately. And look, it goes on. And look, there's another one. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to our God's Army in the Q Lounge, because they've been bringing this one and they've been calling it out. So they're actually calling him out, Dee. They're actually, which is great.
Yes. I'm so proud of them.
Look at this. So January the 1st, 2026. Yeah, obviously they're just going to keep giving forward dates because, the thing is they know that their grift is coming to an end, Dee.
Yeah, so they're just going to keep pushing it out until they, can't do it anymore. So.
Exactly that. So it's up to us to make to call them out, and that's it.
Yeah. And then that's part of our mission here is just to get out there and spread the truth and let them know that we're here and we're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
We're here to stay. We're here to stay.
No, they're going somewhere out of here.
I was thinking, reflecting back on the last couple of years, I have been out here talking to people and it's been difficult. When you walk up to somebody and you talk to them about Nesara, it's either most people have never heard of it or they have and they kind of push back and go, oh, you're one of them, So it's been on the fringe if it's known at all. That does not have to be the case now. It needs to come out of the shadows. It's real. It's a bill, okay? It's not a wish list. It is something tangible that we can read and study. And if we want to get it introduced, that's up to us, right? So talk to people about it. Talk to your family, talk to your friends, coworkers if possible. Some workplaces you can't talk about civics, but that's okay. But just don't be shy about it. You don't have to be anymore. It's a real thing, and we need to talk to as many people as we can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Dee. I mean, look, I actually had I want to share this comment. Like I shared with you on pre-show, and there was somebody that turned around and said to me, "Look, I didn't want to." Basically, it was along the lines of they didn't want to know the real truth, and they were going against me. But eventually, they had to face the harsh truth, and they were actually grateful. So, in other words, that I produced the facts and some receipts, like we bring out the truth, right? Because we're all about the truth. We're about empowerment. Right. We're not influencers. We're empowerers, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way I see it.
Yes, that's what I want people to do. I want them to be empowered. And that's what I'm saying. Step out of the shadows. You don't have to be worried about, as long as you're armed with this and you can say, hey, this is a real thing, then there's no reason to stay in the darkened corners where people shoo conspiracies, because it's not a conspiracy.
Exactly that. Yeah. Exactly that. So
okay.
I'm looking forward to the discussion on chapter 1 and chapter 2.
Okay, obviously, ready to get started?
Let's get started.
Drop this to the ground. Okay, so you can go ahead and bring up the, we did a chapter analysis on Chapter 1, Back to Basics, the Nature of Money. I'm going to read a little overview, and then we'll just kind of, jump into it. So, okay.
And I'll just get all sorted and set up here for you. All right.
All right.
I think this is it.
Go all the way to the top of that. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, money is not wealth. Wealth is the food we eat, the homes we live in, and the goods and services that meet our needs. Money, on the other hand, is just a claim or a token that lets us exchange for wealth. America's founders knew this lesson the hard way. In colonial times, Massachusetts issued paper bills in 1690 when silver was scarce. Benjamin Franklin even defended paper money, calling it coined land. But overissuing paper led to inflation and collapse, especially in Rhode Island. During the Revolutionary War, Congress printed the Continental currency, and it kept the war effort alive for more than 5 years. But in 1780, it was nearly worthless because they had overprinted it. That's where the phrase comes, not worth a continental. I don't know that anybody uses that anymore, but the Constitution tried to fix this by requiring debts to be paid in gold or silver. That brought about the Coinage Act of 1792, defined the dollar in gold and tied it to silver in a fixed ratio. But even then, value shifted. Gold coins vanished, and then silver coins disappeared. Paper promises issued by banks often weren't banked by enough metal, leaving ordinary people holding the bag. What does this history show us? Money has always existed in two forms. Hard currency, like gold and silver, has real commodity value but is heavy and costly. Soft currency, like paper, is convenient but dangerous. It relies on trust and discipline. When too much is issued, society pays through inflation, lost savings, and broken trust. The moral is simple. A sound monetary system must be honest. Paper backed by promises must be truly redeemable, otherwise it becomes fraud. From the Continentals to the French to Weimar Germany to the Americans in the 1970s, history repeats this lesson over and over. When money loses honesty, nations suffer. Money is not wealth. It's only a claim to wealth, and its true value lies in the honesty of the system that stands behind it. So that's just kind of an overview of the chapter itself. We can get down into the part.
Is this where I'm going to go, D?
Yeah, that's where we need to go. Okay.
Right. Now, can I just touch on something, because I read what you wrote.
Jump in anytime. Yeah.
Okay, and I really I think we need to know what money's all about, right? Mm-hmm. So I went to the etymology of words, right?
Okay.
Now, I'm basically going right to the beginning. So the word money is basically, it's coined from the Latin word moneta, right? So it's a place for coining money, mint, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where it comes from, the word moneta, which is a title or surname of the Roman goddess Juno as well. So it goes back to there. And then you got Capitoline Hill money was coined, and it goes back to the Roman Roman era. Mm-hmm. But also, when you talk about money as well, and the philosophies of Aristotle and Plato, remember that was very important. Mm-hmm. Do you want to touch on that one, or?
Yeah, that's the first part of the outline that we get to, and the concept of money. There were Plato, Plato versus Aristotle. They had different philosophical views of what money was, and Aristotle believed that things were tangible, that you could hold them, that they were real. A table is a table, and
that's right.
A chair is a chair. Plato was more conceptual. It's an idea. It's a theory. It's a what do you call it? Tableness, I think Harvey used in the book, and that's the way Plato looked at it. So you have these two different philosophical differences, and what money has come down to, as we'll see in the end, it's a little of both. Okay.
So I took your notes. I'll just show what I put there. See? So comprehending money. Money isn't just a physical thing.
Right.
Right? It started out as a tangible item like gold, silver, salt. This comes from your notes.
Right, yeah, and livestock. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Aristotle believed that money should be something you can touch, physical, right? Mm-hmm. While Plato contended it to be like it's about...
Like this. This
what
is
it represents.
That's a silver eagle. That's something you can touch.
Yeah, exactly. So basically... and also, did you know Aristotle was the teacher of Plato? So Plato, it was like, then they were both philosophers, and they both had really valuable, shall we say, philosophies they brought to the table. Now, if you were to liken Plato was more, about what money represents, not the concept, the physical aspect of it. So you're right. Plato will be more towards the digital money. What it's, you think about digital money. We've been living digital money for a very long time, zeros and ones. I mean, we've been holding on to say. What I want to talk to you about is this. If you look at the card that we, the bank card, the card that we hold in our hand, right, and liken that to being money, you can call that Aristotle. But the actual, what it represents, the zeros and ones, when you go, it's actually the zeros and ones. It's not physical money. That's Plato. So they've both got that aspect.
Right.
You know what I mean? That
That's right, yes.
duality.
Well, and they have the
Yeah.
card, and there's many that said, well, this is just a grooming for not having, what they call more digital currency through biometrics, right?
Yes.
But having that card in your hand still makes you feel like you have control, right?
Exactly. So you're right, 100% there.
So it's just a step in the conditioning to make that leap to, well, now we're going to scan your iris and all of your stuff is controlled by a central database, which is not where we want to go. So
No, not at all.
yeah. All right. Well, you hit that pretty quick. So that was all. That was all on the first page. So, but you're right. Yeah, there's two: the conceptual idea and then the intangible idea, and that's what the basis. Where he started off in chapter 1, and said that it has evolved down now into both, except that our dollar is not backed by anything really tangible, right? So, and we'll get into that in later chapters, but and the digital that we use now with our bank cards, there's nothing physical there at all.
No, not at all.
It's a represented on a screen, and like I said, with the cryptos, you turn the power off and it's gone. It's gone.
You think about it, banks have the power to create money out of nothing.
Oh yeah, and we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the fractional reserve system and how they create money from a single deposit, and it goes on and on and on. Now, also in chapter 1, Harvey talked about the Coinage Act of 1792. I don't know if you took any of my notes from that, but he okay.
Sorry, no. You mean here? This thing?
Keep going. Right
there.
Yeah. Yeah. So he didn't. There's all the measurements and that kind of stuff, and we can get into that. But the basic thrust of this is that they set the ratio of silver to gold at 15.1 or 15 to 1, and as time passed with the more gold coming or less gold coming in, and they could see that this was fluctuating. So in 1834, they changed the silver to gold ratio to 16 to 1, right? And which you can see that, market prices changed and people melted down or exported coins for profit. And the fixed gold to silver ratio, 15 to 1, soon failed as market shift. So even that wasn't working. Now, when you look at Harvey's bill, the new Treasury service that would replace the Federal Reserve, they have the 13 Board of Governors, and then the head of that department, they report to Congress, but that's their job. That's for a gold and silver-backed currency. You got one job, and that's it, to make sure that these ratios are set. And he even has it in the bill, how frequently this is to be done. Once a week or twice a week or whatever is necessary to keep that in check, to make sure that it stays stable and it stays redeemable. So also in America, they had problems with paper money, which is the next segment down. Colonies often used paper money, like you said, livestock and corn and different stuff for legal tender. Okay. Now, Continental Congress, 1775, 1780, during the Revolutionary War, Congress printed paper money called Continentals. And this was designed to help them pay for the war, pay soldiers and supplies and stuff like that. But they overprinted them. And of course, the bills depreciated until they were nearly worthless. Now, it kept the war going, okay, for all of that time. But in the end, it wasn't worth a continental.
Well, you think about, money. What is money? Right. So if you back it with, say, gold, right? You go to the goldsmith will give you a receipt. That was how they would start off with money. It was they hold on to it and you got the receipt. So basically that's it.
Right.
And then obviously it moved on from there. Now, overprinting it, especially when you're not backing up with if you're overprinting it and you're not backing it up,
right,
it's going to be useless, isn't it? There's nothing to back it up.
It is. It's going to. Yeah, there's no there, as they say. And And then, of course, we just talked about that, the 1834, when they made that ratio adjustment,
Yes.
because, there were people were melting them down or whatever was the case. They just, I think there was a gold rush, okay, that, you have a more influx of gold. This is going to change the prices and stuff like that. So it had to be monitored. And it took them that long to figure out, okay, well, this is not working for us. So we're going to have to continue to set the ratios.
If there's too much gold as well, does it affect the price? You know how you got obviously
supply.
they got to control the gold supply, don't they? So the value stabilizes.
Correct.
If you know what I mean.
I do. Yeah, because if you have more of it, it's going to be worth less.
It's like
less
this.
of it's going to be worth more.
You know the diamonds, right? So diamonds, diamonds, there's plenty of them, right? So basically, this is it'll make sense what I'm trying to say. How they've been able to give value to something that was worthless, right? So what they did was it's supply and demand, right? So they restricted the supply and they created the demand, and that was done by the De Beers.
Right.
So the De Beers created that, diamonds are a girl's best friend, all the advertising, all that sort of stuff, and they drove up the demand. Now, that's how it works with also crypto as well.
Right.
You restrict the supply and you drive up the demand. It's the oldest trick in the book, love. You know what I mean? The oldest trick in the book.
Yep.
So, you think about it. I mean, money. What makes money valuable? Well, it's us. It's our sweat equity. So, we, it goes through us. We circulate it and we give it value. Why don't they just cut us out of the equation, just give it to themselves? It won't make any sense, won't it?
Right.
You get what I mean? So if they print the money, say the elites, whatever they are, and they give it to themselves, it's useless. We're the ones that give it value through sweat equity.
Right.
It goes through us.
Well, wealth
it's like anything else.
Yeah, wealth is something tangible that is the product of labor and or goods. Okay.
Yes.
That's wealth. Like I was showing you, this silver eagle. Okay. This is wealth. It is tangible. It is a product of materials and labor. This is a promise. And I'm going to talk about this in detail in the next chapter. But all this is a promise that we support. Okay, that people support. I believe the promise. You believe the promise. Everybody believes the promise.
Exactly.
That I can take this and go do something with it. Okay,
yes.
That's the trust that we
it's
share.
It's like a voucher, really. You know how a voucher, you take it around and it's like a promise that you're going to get all you can eat at the buffet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that as well.
Right.
But I wanted to ask you, a side note, did Harvey ever speak about bartering?
Probably so. I don't recall any particular conversation about it, but that's certainly a part of every financial system. I mean, I'd have friends that work now that have a friend that supports himself that way, for a great deal. He barters his, he'll go do something and for something in return, not necessarily money, and for this item or that item and labor.
Well, I'll give you an example. In Greece, the villages, they barter. Someone produces the honey, and then from that they'll get something else. So they all look after each other. You know what I mean? It's like a sort of bartering system, and bartering's been around for a very long time.
Sure, since the beginning of time. Yeah,
exactly. So, that's a promise as well. You know what I mean? In a sense where that person they promise if they give them that much honey, they'll get that much, say, tomatoes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I call that more trade. And I have an example of that in the next chapter. A real physical example. But to me, a barter is just another word for trade. I'm trading wealth for wealth. You got something, I've got something, and we're gonna swap. So, and we both understand that we're getting a good deal between us, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And do you remember there was a barter card system that was out there not long ago?
I seem to recall something about that, but I never did investigate it too extensively. There's a barter card.
Yeah, there was a barter card. I mean, like here in Australia, we had a barter card system. So basically, all these businesses would sign up to this barter card, and people would get these these barter cards, and they would benefit of each other. Like it was an amazing system. But obviously, you know, those kind of systems don't make it in this kind of world, so to speak. And you know,
that's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad, but it's one of the oldest form of trade.
Well, that's how it started. You know, that's how things started. You know, I've got something you want or you need, and we're gonna, you know, and how bad you need it is going to depend on how much you're willing to give up for whatever that item is. You know, so there's several examples in history of how paper money did not, you know, fulfill its promise. The French, I don't know if you want to go down on the thing. I'll just tell you.
Yeah,
about
sure.
it. Okay. In revolutionary France, they issued paper money backed by confiscated church land. So what they had was they had confiscated this land, and they issued paper money on it, and they kept printing more and more and more, and causing inflation, food shortages. And now I want y'all to notice as we go through these examples. I don't have my pointer. Sure. You see where it says political chaos, political radicalization. Keep that in the back of your mind as we run through these examples, because it's kind of an important point. So they kept printing this paper money, and it led to hyperinflation, political radicalization, and eventually Napoleon's rise. Okay, and he restored order. So this is another example of how overissued. Now this was backed paper, but they issued too much on the fixed item. In other words, they issued more paper than the land was worth.
Yeah.
Right,
well, that's what we experienced.
That sound familiar?
Yes.
In Germany, after World War I, Germany had huge bills that they had to pay. And so they printed money to cover the cost, and they collapsed the mark's value. In 1923, the exchange rate was 4.2 trillion to $1 US. Can you imagine? It wiped out the middle class, and again, caused hyperinflation. And wait a minute, one more thing, enabling Hitler's rise. Here's some more of this politics here. Okay. Mm-hmm. So twice now we've had political regime change due to the deflation of currency. Okay. I don't know, kind of a thing.
No, it makes sense to me, because you know what? That's how you can manipulate. You know,
you can manipulate
and overthrow.
The masses. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
Right. 1970s, when we left the gold standard in 1971, of course, we had a rise in inflation, double digits, gas prices, wages, living costs rose sharply. And savings were lost. Now it shows even without hyperinflation, steady price increases undermine trust and living standards, which Harvey addresses in the bill as well. That's one of the main things that living standards Americans' standard of living would go up significantly.
How much did your dad talk? I remember in one of the interviews you were saying about how much it was back then, and now we're on 37 trillion.
What was the debt back then?
Yeah, I remember he said it.
And he said it in the interview, and I want to say it was 6.
Yeah,
it was something around that.
Around that
figure. You gotta think this, you know, that was 20 when he did that interview. It was about 23 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I can guarantee you, he would not believe how far we have let this go. He would not.
What I can tell you, love, what I'm seeing is that they're getting ready to tank the Fed. That's what's happening.
Well, you and I were talking about that bill that addresses the Federal Reserve that is up there. I think it's HR 1846. I looked at it briefly because I've looked at HR 25 pretty extensively. This was HR 1846, and it was, from what I downloaded, it was very short and not specific. It did say, okay, we're going to get rid of the Fed. We're going to establish the new Treasury Service, kind of like just exactly what's in the bill.
That's why I say.
Yeah, it was exactly the same thing. We had 13 board governors, okay, and then it kind of left it hanging. It did provide for, I think, an 18-month transfer of power, but it was just not as not as specific as Harvey's. Harvey's got it lined out to where it's a step-by-step, follow the dots instructions on what happens next. It seemed to me that it left a lot open for discussion and a lot open for negotiation, which may not work in our favor.
Are you talking about Macy's bill?
Is that Macy's bill? Okay.
Yeah, you know what's happening is obviously there's a lot to fill in the gaps, right? And things that are obviously going to transpire. That's why what I feel it's like a placeholder, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yes.
To me, that's what I'm getting. So this is the one here. Right? Is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I believe that's it. It.
So Macy's the one that put it. I mean, obviously Macy, I really, as I said, I respect Macy a lot. Now, look, the way I see that, it's a placeholder and it's there because they're going to do it. Like going back to the gold standard.
Right. There's just waiting for its time and we'll fill in the blanks.
Exactly.
We've got all the little details that we need to know, like in Harvey's bill. Yeah.
Exactly that. And then you got HR 2435, which is to go, there we go, by Mr. Biggs and Gosser.
Okay.
And that is to go, here we go, fixed weight of gold.
No.
To define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold and for other purposes. So it's another placeholder. These are they're not right into, a lot of detail. They're placeholders. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you know what
we're
Q
going to fill in the blanks for them.
You know what Q says? Q drop 2619.
Okay. Yes.
Gold shall destroy the Fed.
I remember that. Yeah.
It all makes perfect sense, doesn't it, Dee?
Yep. Everything comes down to divine timing, as they say. So
exactly.
All of this is at the right time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, we found out that, from chapter 1, we did have some early banking corruption. Now, what happened in America, they had the first Bank of the United States in 1791.
Is this on here?
Yeah. Go on down.
Whereabouts?
There you go. You're right there.
Right here. Okay. Yep.
The first Bank of the United States, designed by Alexander Hamilton. A lot of stats there for it. Its purpose was to hold government deposits, issue paper currency, and regulate credit and stabilize the economy. The bank was controversial. Jefferson and Madison saw it as unconstitutional. And of course, Hamilton liked it. It was his idea. But after about 20 years, Congress let the charter expire. Now, while that was going on, there were also states that issued charters to banks. And that's where a lot of the banking corruption came in, because these banks would pop up and they would not have the deposits to cover the paper that they issued. So, people would come and there wouldn't be anything there. Also, bank examiners, there was a little thing going on with these state banks. This is kind of funny. They would have a stash of gold or whatever metal they were backing their currency with. And the bank examiner would come in and check everything out. Okay, you pass. And before the bank examiner got to the next one, they would run and bring that stash to the next bank. And so they were counting the same. And okay. So, but there was a lot of, fraud and stuff like that in the state banks. There was one that was
doing it.
Yeah. All right. Rhode Island, that was the one he used in the book, operated with almost no real reserves, large amounts of worthless paper notices. Now, when the
bank. What page is that, Dee?
Go down a little bit further. Yeah.
Everyone's got their books? We can.
Oh, I didn't go. I had so much technical stuff. I didn't actually do page. No, I just kind of put it all on here to hit the highlights, because he does go into a lot of detail about the history. So, if you want to read the history, he's got it in there. But Rhode Island, the insiders that controlled the bank took the money. And so when the bank, I think, closed, it had like $86 there. So the people, they were just out of luck. And it was unchecked banking power. Okay. So the insiders were allowed to just, they did what they wanted. And it was more or less a grift, when you look at it in the big picture. But what the bank failures and the overprinting of paper currency demonstrate to us is that you have to have an honest system. Okay. It has to be backed by something real. Okay. And without those things, you don't really have a sound, stable monetary system. You know, you have nothing to base it on.
Well,
And checks and balances, and you have to have checks and balances, and people have to be held responsible and accountable. You know.
Well, that's it. I mean, look, you look at the Federal Reserve, right? That whole system, it's all private. It's all been proven. It's a private organization, private company. It's a private entity, okay, and it's a foreign entity at that. It's impervious to the U.S. laws. You know that,
right?
It's above and beyond, and it's like the IRS, exactly the same thing. So this has all been operating under a, shall we say, we've been paying taxes, which is unlawful. That what we've been doing it's all unlawful. What they've been doing is all unlawful, and it's about time, like, you know, that it all comes down, because you know what? It's like the mafia. That's the way I see it. You know, for example, with the IRS, okay, they take 50%, say 50% of your. It's like, no, if you don't do it, we're going to raid you like a bunch of pirates. That's what pirates do. They raid, right? So that President Trump is exposing this. Never before have they been under the microscope or under the magnifying glass the way President Trump has been doing it. He's been calling out. Everything. Have you seen that he calls out Pell?
Yes, all the time.
Every single day.
All the time.
Right? Yeah. So he's bringing the whole system down. And people are seeing what a bunch of thieves they are. Now, did you see the comparisons as far as what they pay in Switzerland, which is 0.25%, compared to what they're paying in the States or in other Western countries? And it's like, well, hold on a minute. Well, we know Switzerland, on a country of neutrality, you know, it's a lot of filth there, by the way. When that's why everyone goes there and, you know, invests over there. The banking system is basically set up over there. You know what I mean? When they say Swiss accounts and all that.
Swiss accounts, yeah.
And then did you ask yourself, I mean, did your dad ever, I want to ask you about your dad. Did your father ever speak about the Cayman Islands, why they've got banks over there?
Not that I know. Not that I know of. So.
Right.
No, not to me. Anyway, so.
Yeah. You've got to ask your mum quite a few questions.
But yeah, that they have stable, like you said, the Swiss, they have a stable economy and their interest rate is low. In fact, I do have a quote written down here on the last page of the outline for chapter 1, and it's the moral dimension. And Harvey writes, in a moral monetary system, currency must hold its value year after year. The only acceptable inflation rate is 0.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with you. I agree with you and Harvey.
Well, and you know, you were talking about this earlier, but crypto's appeal echoes Aristotle's view of scarcity and durability, but its value is ultimately based on a shared belief, which is Plato. So Here we are again, we find ourselves debating digital dollar, raising the Plato Aristotle argument all over again. You know,
agreed. I mean, look, you see a lot of these Plato and Aristotle in everything. You know, even with justice, they covered a lot of things, and you could see the contrast between the two. I mean, they like black and white, basically. That's how the contrast is between each of them. But you know, it's just amazing that how you know, for example, like how crypto is backed by nothing, like money is, right? And what gives it value again? It's us. It all comes back down to us. That's what it is. And it's the supply and demand again. It's the oldest, as I said, trick in the book.
Right.
You know, how do you make something valuable that's worthless?
By making it scarce. By making it scarce.
Well, you think about it. Okay, let's talk about crypto, right? The mechanics of it. Because I'm into, you know, I know about computers and IT and all that. That's my forte. Now, they use algorithms. They make it complicated, and you need equipment, and you need a lot of energy to create one Bitcoin. For example, you're looking at 15 years worth of energy of a normal domestic home, right? That equates to roughly around $60,000 or so, around there. Now you think about it, just to make something that you can't hold in your hand, but it's because of the amount of energy that is used, the amount of mathematics to calculate, to make this thing. That's what gives it the, shall we say, the value.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, I hear what you're saying, and I was like, to me, it has zero value. I can't. It's not something I can use. It is not wealth. Okay. It is a representative conception. Okay. If it's not something that I can have, that I can say, okay, I choose to give this for something else, then to me, it's worthless. I can't wrap my mind around it.
I mean, if you drop a gold bar, you can see it, but if you drop crypto, you can't see.
That's right.
Oh no, I dropped my Bitcoin. It's down here somewhere.
Down here somewhere, yeah.
The cat ate it.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't get it. But that's where we are right now. So.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Unfortunately. And look, this is the thing. I mean, you go back to zeros and ones, right? So zeros and ones, it's out of thin air. That's all it is. It's out of thin air, right? You go and, as I said, you go and you purchase something. Now these days, you use your phone. Have you seen it? You just scan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
I'm guilty. I have to say, I'm guilty of doing that.
I don't do that. So I'm old school.
I have been guilty of doing that.
But you know what? At the end of the day, you're still holding on to something physical.
Right. It's that.
Right?
It's that mental.
That's
thing.
the Aristotle part of it. Right.
Yeah.
The concept of it is Plato. So you got that duality going on again. So realistically speaking, it still doesn't. It's basically you're swapping one thing for another. It's the card, which is still plastic. This is still plastic as well. You know what I mean?
And it's still a concept of, when you look at your bank account online and you see all these ones, you see it's not really there. It's numbers on a screen, and it's it's conditioning. This didn't happen overnight. It's taken decades and generations to get here,
Exactly.
And it's just a stepping stone if we allow it to continue. So, and it looks like President Trump hopefully is on the way to putting a stop to it.
Well, it's about time. Yeah. Because it's a system of usury. Let's be honest.
That's right. And Harvey talks about that in the book. Interest versus usury. So
that's right. Yeah, it's not tangible. I totally agree, guys. I totally agree. And this is the thing. I mean, look, there's a lot of people that don't like what we say. It's like, for example, there are those that are so hell bent on crypto. You know what I'm talking about?
That's okay.
They jumped on board the crypto train. Now, at the end of the day, facts is facts. Evidence, receipts, it's right there.
Yeah.
Realistically speaking, and that's on how they do it in the market. It's driven by an index known as fear and greed. So in other words, they fear of missing out. FOMO, you've heard about that.
Oh yeah. So it's going to be, I'm not going to get what I want, or I'm afraid I'm going to lose what I have. Okay. I'm going to be left out in the cold, and I'm not going to, be successful. Right. Everybody else is doing it, so I need to jump on that wagon. And look, it's you invest in what you want. It's a semi-free world. Right? So
the thing is, I don't tell anyone to do that, because I'll tell you why. Because if anything goes pear-shaped, then I'm not going to be responsible for advising anybody.
No, I don't advise people. I say you have free will. No. You have free will. You can do
exactly. And the thing is also, what I know and what I could say is my my opinion is what works is gold, silver in your hand, not the virtual stuff, because that's not backed by government. That's not backed. And that's the thing. And people are jumping on board this virtual train. Now, at the end of the day, if the government's not going to back it, you're playing, shall we say, Russian roulette. Because if that particular company goes down that's supposedly holding on to your gold, virtual gold, you lost it all. That's the reality. But if it's in your safe at home and you can hold it, it's real.
It's real.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Steve?
well, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, and it's the same thing. And Harvey was like that. Okay, it had to be something tangible, and yeah, and that's just the bottom line. Yeah, back to the Aristotle. So,
and then you got the conceptual, which is to do with the virtual stuff.
It's moneyness, as they would say, tableness or moneyness. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the feeling of
Well, when people walk around and they carry their card, they feel secure. It's like, oh yeah, no, I'm fine. It's connected to the zeros and ones. When they go into the computer or their phone, they can see the zeros and ones. It's like, oh yeah, but they don't realize that goes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like you.
Yeah. Try living through a few hurricanes without power for a while. And I know many people across the country and around the world have been through natural disasters where the ones and the zeros and the air conditioning and whatever you got is non-existent. Okay. So what do you do then? You do without.
Exactly.
Or actually you go back, you'd be amazing how things revert when neighbors help neighbors and you barter and trade. When you don't have that capability to access your funding, you really, depend on the community and each other.
Exactly that. Now, talking about usury, let's talk about compound interest.
Okay, well, that's in the next chapter, so let's go ahead and start the next one. Yeah.
I'm jumping.
You're jumping way ahead.
Sorry, love. Okay. I'll let you. You steer the ship.
I'm going to read my synopsis or my summary of chapter 2, and this is called Understanding Money, and then we'll get to the outline. Okay,
so we're here.
We're going to be in chapter. You need to go to chapter 2.
Oh, chapter 2. Okay.
Understanding Money outline. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Is that here it is? Yep, got it right.
Found
here.
it.
Yes.
Okay. Wealth is the food we eat, the homes we live in, the clothes we wear, and the services we depend on. It's the things and experiences that actually satisfy our needs and wants. But money is just a claim, a piece of paper, a coin, or even a digital entry that says you can exchange it for wealth. Think about it this way. If you own an apple orchard, those apples are wealth. If you sell one and get a dollar bill in return, the dollar doesn't hold the apple itself. It just represents a claim on someone else's goods in the community. And I'm going to demonstrate that in kind of like elementary school way in a little while, because I had to do it for myself to make sure that I said.
Is these examples on here, love, or?
Go up to the top. We're going to start there in just a minute. So.
Okay, yep, no worries.
All right.
Go for it.
This is why we have to be careful. People often confuse currency with wealth. Currency is a token of debt, a promise that you can use it later. Wealth, on the other hand, is real. It decays and it has to be produced. So debt by itself isn't necessarily bad. If you borrow to start a business that produces more than the cost of the loan, it's a good debt. But if you borrow and end up worse off, then it's destructive. When we talk about national currencies today, we're really talking about a perpetual debt system. These are systems where money comes into being at someone else's debt. If managed wisely, that can work. But if abused, it erodes the economy and raises serious moral questions about fairness. Okay, so this brings us to how banks actually create money, something called fractional reserve banking. We're going to go through some examples of that. And also, we're going to talk about the Federal Reserve, and we're going to talk about compound interest. And so that's kind of what chapter 2 is all about. So let's go.
Awesome.
Okay, so some of the key points, and I like this. John Adams warned that America's greatest weakness was the ignorance of coin, credit, and circulation. What he was saying is that people don't understand the very concepts that you and I are discussing today, and the concepts that Harvey brought out in his book. Let's see. We've talked about this. Money equals a claim on wealth, and wealth equals labor plus goods and services. There's some historical references. Go ahead and scroll on down so everybody can see where we are. Okay. So John Adams blamed America's troubles on ignorance. Baron Rothschild noted that there were only two men that understood money, and they disagreed. One was, I think, was his bookkeeper, and the other one was someone else that he knew. But he said they couldn't agree on what money actually was. And we talked about the apples. Misunderstanding money as wealth allows dangerous policies, inflationary printing. Wait, too far. Okay, stop. Okay. Printing money, debt expansion to persist without challenge if we misidentify money as wealth. We are blind to the dangers of inflation, debt expansion, and policy manipulation. Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. Okay, so this is where I got this next part. He had some definitions about wealth and debt and currency, right? So we talked about wealth. We know what that is. Okay. Yes. Debt is negative, abstract, imaginary, and currency is the physical embodiment of debt. Okay. So if everybody's with me on that. He also, identified some of the same historical references. Frederick Soddy was a Nobel Prize chemist who turned economist, called the definition of wealth the touchstone of clear thinking. Aristotle and Roman jurists tied wealth to, again, back what could really be bought or sold. Let me see where I want to go from here. Okay, so wealth is finite and positive and subject to decay. So, in other words, it will depreciate and break down over time. Debt is negative, abstract, but very powerful. The long lineage of the struggle to define money and debt underscores that confusion isn't new, but deeply rooted in human systems. Confusion over these categories has plagued civilizations for centuries and still distorts economic policy today. Okay? Now, as we mentioned earlier, debt can be a positive thing if it is used to build more wealth, right? So if I borrow money to start a business and I'm producing something and that business makes money, then it's good. What happens with the problem is when I have debt that doesn't make wealth, okay, and it ends up, the production of that debt overshadows any wealth that is produced, if that makes sense.
Yes. In other words, the debt becomes more and the wealth becomes less.
Exactly. Yes. So there are three phases of debt, okay? And this is where I told you I had the little things. Okay, so this is going to be, I'm going to apologize first. I'm like a elementary school person, so I had to put, I said, okay, I've got to, when I was writing this, I said, I need something in front of me to kind of, make sure that I can explain it and I understand it. So I grabbed a stapler and my scissors. So this is what I'm going to use. Okay. So you have the stapler, I have the scissors. Okay. We're going to trade. Okay. So there we go. You now have the scissors, I have the stapler. That's trade. Yep. That's wealth. This is a wealth item and this is a wealth item. They're tangible. They're real. Okay. Commerce is wealth for currency. Okay. So I have the scissors. You have this. Okay. You're going to give me this. I'm going to give you the scissors. Yeah. Okay. That's commerce. Yeah. Now I have the promise. Okay. So, and then we come to credit. And now this credit is where, remember I told you Mr. Froggy here? This is Mr. Banker. This is where he gets involved. Okay. So I can't believe I pulled this out of my kitty cat's toy basket. I couldn't believe if y'all will notice the resemblance to a character we see very often.
Yes. Good old Pippi.
So let's say I have the scissors. Okay. And you want to buy them, but you don't have the money. Okay. So in comes the banker and he's going to give you the money, which you're going to trade me for the scissors. Okay. Right. And I now have the promise, you have the scissors, and the banker gets to charge you compound interest on that transaction. Okay. So that's a very elementary of commerce. Okay. So, but those are the three faces of debt. And he talks about those in the book. Now, the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 2, ratified in 1788, explicitly granted Congress the power to borrow money. Treasury bills and bonds made this power a reality. Commerce based on debt transforms simple exchanges into ongoing obligations. Remember, you didn't have the money to buy the scissors, so the banker got involved. Okay, that's ongoing debt obligation. Credit converts promises into wealth plus interest. Early treasury bills, notes, and bonds exercise this authority.
You read that one?
What?
Read this, the screen.
Oh, yeah. Are they making fun of me and my little scissors?
No, we should take 1 million Monopoly games, thank you, Real Patriot, for, and drop them off at the front of the Fed. That's what their money's worth. Nothing.
I know that there are people that are watching this and have a vast, better understanding of economics and economic mechanics than I do. And I'm so glad that they're here, because those are the kind of people that we need to help explain this to other people. Yeah, I was just a lowly bookkeeper at best. So.
Oh, look, it's very important that we all comprehend and break it down.
I want it to be really simple. So you get because once I understand it, then I can effectively explain it, even if I have to pick up a stapler and a pair of scissors to show somebody.
Exactly.
This is what's happening, right? Oh. Okay. So
what are we up to now?
Okay, let's see. We were talking about the 1788 Congress granted the power to borrow money.
Is that on here at all?
Yeah, it's right under the three faces of debt. Go down to where it's right there, historical reference. Go back up just a little bit. There you go, historical reference.
Right here. Okay.
Yeah. Treasury bills and bonds made this power a reality. Commerce based on debt transforms simple exchanges into ongoing obligation. Credit converts promises into wealth, transfers plus interest. And then they had the treasury bills, notes, and bonds exercise this authority. So Congress said, yes, it's okay for us to borrow money.
You know that word wealth, what does it mean to you, Dee? What does it mean to you in general?
Okay, there is a difference. Okay, there is wealth and then there is abundance. Okay, so that's kind of where I make my differential. Wealth is my home, my car, my food. Okay, the power for me to live, pay my expenses. Okay, so that's wealth. What I have in material items, plus my capability to continue that. Okay?
Would you call it assets?
Assets, yes. You could call it assets. Okay. Abundance to me encompasses a whole lot of other things. Okay. It's not just all of that, but it's my community, my family, my pets, my friends, my good health, all of those things. That constitutes abundance. But when you get down to the classical definition, and what I believe is wealth is what you have, but material, physical items, assets. If you were doing an asset liability or balance sheet, it's pretty clear. This is what you have and this is what you owe.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd like to get to the place where we don't know a damn thing. Do you know what I mean?
You're going for are you back to looking for the utopia like we talked about?
No, not the utopia. I mean, what I would like to do is basically where money, if you think about this, right? So people say money is the root of evil. Now, money, okay, the way it is like this. People will kill for money. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
People will lie for money. People will prostitute themselves for money. And you think about that when they put money right up the top of the chain, right? Obviously, over everything. So when we get to that place where money can be used and it's down the chain and we focus more on amazing things, you know what I mean? As in the betterment of mankind, humanity. And I don't want to look at it as a utopian thing. I think I want to look at it more of a adjusting our priorities. That's the way I would like to see it. Where, for example, okay, you think about this. You got people that want to, I'll give you a hypothetical. I've always wanted to learn how to fly a helicopter or a plane or whatever, but it costs, right? Costs a lot of money. I don't have access to those resources. Only those that have access to those resources are able to do that, right? So I would like to, obviously we would like to live in a very fair system where, where you're, President Trump says about going to meritocracy. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And
I think it's not, it's not being unreasonable.
No, and that's what Harvey's bill is designed to do, is level the playing field. Okay.
Exactly.
So once you level the playing field and everybody has a fair chance and the promise is backed by something and it's stabilized, then that does not become the do all end all of the goal of the society. What becomes the do all end all is what you're talking about, being able to pursue the things that you want to pursue, have the things that you want to have, and so, yeah, it's in here.
Well, you think about it, okay? Now, Tesla, right? Tesla, his technology, okay, it's all been documented, it's all real. He did create free energy. It's out there, right? It's all proven, right? It's all scientifically proven. But you think about it, what happened? Westinghouse, it goes back to those times, right?
Right.
So Westinghouse wanted to find a way of not doing that, right? And then they discredited Tesla, even though Tesla was the one to create the AC motor, right? And Westinghouse took that opportunity and basically he capitalized off it. And it's all about, how can I say, controlling. And with control, you're able to make money, greed, that sort of thing. Whereas Tesla was thinking about humanity. How can he better humanity? Do you see where I'm going with this?
Oh yeah, I see exactly where you're going with that, and I agree. We're back to the scarcity makes it more valuable, right? And so the same thing with the fear and the greed, and it's also you're able to control more people, right?
Exactly. And that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. It's all about control. If you they say follow the money, follow it, but look at who benefits from the system being the way it is. Okay.
Exactly.
Then those are the people that are initiating the control.
Well, you think about it, what are wars for? Resources and control.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So basically, you think, why did they go to Iraq? It was to put a reserve bank to do that and take control over those assets. Number one, over what the resources are, over the people. And Saddam didn't want to play ball, right? Just like Gaddafi didn't. Yeah. Right? He was going to a gold back. He was doing gold back. And they didn't like it. And that's all documented. It's all factual as well. So, in other words, when you eliminate that whole system of debauchery, we're going to a better place. And I know that Harvey, that's what he wanted for all of us. Yeah. That's why President Trump talks about this.
Yeah. And that's exactly what he wanted. And that's why he drives home the point over and over again about a moral monetary system. Until you reach that point, the other things that you and I are discussing are not achievable, right?
Exactly.
Level the playing field and everybody has the same opportunities. And then you can shift and turn to betterment of humanity. I mean, just think of all the time, effort, money, labor is wasted on trying to stay ahead in a system that has got you set up in perpetual debt. Basically, economic slavery.
Now, you think about this also, the system that we're in with the judicial system, right? So the judicial system's corrupt, right? The more money you have, the better representation you have.
Yeah.
Right. You think about lawyers are basically someone that know all the legalese. They know the loopholes. They know how to get out of it. Now you think about it. Who has a chance in hell? The person that doesn't have the money or the one that does?
Right.
And I've seen it time and time again, where the one that's always got the money has got the best lawyers, and that's it. You know, you get where I'm going with this. It's a very unfair,
Yes,
unjust society that we live in, and we still, if you look at it from the system of the Egyptians, the pyramid. Well, guess what? The pyramid is always supporting the elite. On the bottom, it's always us.
Yes.
It's the many that support the few, right? And if you look at it in the system, we are in a class system, and that's also based on money as well. So you go on a flight. Economy, there's more economy than what there is more of, shall we say, first class, right? Or business class. So in other words, who's carrying that flight? Who's making the most money for the airline? It's the economy. It's the few. Sorry, the many that are supporting the few. So the class system is still working to this very day. And we need to eliminate that system where it's always the few that are benefiting off the many. Do you get where I'm going? Well,
Yeah. And that's exactly it. You know, and you hit the nail on the head. And so, you know, each person has to work on their segment. Like, you know, Nesara is something to address the monetary system. There, I've seen you know, have other shows about other portions of society, like you were just talking about Tesla and other things. So it's going to take all of those things coming together, you know, to change society worldwide.
Well, look at Tesla's energy. Think about this. That free energy, because it works. Okay, the way it works is basically it doesn't rely on wires. It's totally different system, right? We know how magnetics work, right? Opposite magnets spin around, generate electricity. You just get those magnets working, and that's it. You've got electricity. Now, have that anywhere in the world. These countries are going to flourish. They're going to prosper. You know, when you see that there's deserts all around the world and they're the ones that are living in poverty or places of poverty, it's because usually they don't have energy. You know, you get where I'm going? Energy is a very important factor. Well, even President Trump has spoken about that.
Oh yeah, it's a driving force of any civilization, economy, or whatever, what have you. You've got.
Well, that's what he said. When you have low cost of energy, you know, bye inflation. You know, it all makes perfect sense. The economy, everyone flourishes, everyone's prosperous. Well, think about that. You think about how they've been able to have control over the population all around the world, and how they develop. You know what? When they develop third world countries, it's done by design. I'm a firm believer of that. That these third world countries are done by design.
So we're back to the political. As we were talking about earlier, the political radicalization or regime changes and stuff to control the masses. Why? Because they need your labor.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly that. It's think about what President Trump says. Even playing field. It makes perfect sense to me. So everybody benefits.
Yes, everybody benefits, and you are. You know, you're left to your own motivation and your own goals. You know, you'll go as far as you want to go. You know, but everybody has the same play. And the system itself is not set against you to keep you, perpetually chasing this obligation, which shouldn't be, yours to begin with.
Well, this system, as you said, with it's all set up for usury. That's all it is. It's usury.
Yeah.
And it's keeping us in a debt slavery system.
Right. So we're going to talk about fractional reserve banking.
Yes, let's go for it.
All right. Okay. So fractional reserve banking creates money out of debt. Now, there's a flow chart. I think
I've got it here for you.
Okay.
Is it this one here?
Let's see. Yes. Okay. And then I have another example that, let me see if I can get this one up here, because I went something that was a little bit easier to explain. Okay. So fractional reserve banking. So when you make a deposit, the bank has to keep a certain amount in reserves. Okay. So let's say you make your deposit here and they are going to keep, oh, I don't think I had an example here. Let's say 6% of reserve. So you make $1,000 deposit, they're going to keep $60, but they're able to loan out the rest. Okay. And then that loan gets given to somebody who spends it, who makes a deposit. Okay. And that bank has to keep a reserve, and then it can loan some out. And then it goes back to the next person who makes a deposit, and that bank has to keep a small portion and loan some out. And all of this came from this one deposit. There wasn't any more currency, any more wealth created tangible. Okay. Now I have this example, and this is actually just a real life example. Can I share this real quick? Let me
Yeah, sure. Share your screen, and I'll bring it up.
Here. Okay. All right.
I'll just get, there we go. Yeah. You ready, D?
You got it? Yeah. Okay. So this is just.
Let me just go here.
There you go. Blow it up. Oh, let me blow it up.
No, you're going to have to do that.
Okay. I forgot to do that. Okay. So this is just kind of a little explanation of what I was just saying, but it's really simple. Okay. So let's say business owner Alice deposits $1,000 of base money into Bank A. Bank A must keep 10%, $100 in reserves, but can lend out the remaining $900. Customer Bob takes out a loan, $900 loan from Bank A to buy materials for a home improvement project. Bank A does not physically hand Bob the cash. Instead, it creates a new $900 deposit out of the ones and zeros in Bob's account. Bob is now in debt to Bank A for $900 plus interest. The subsequent deposit in the second loan, Bob pays his contractor Charlie the $900 for the materials using the newly created funds. Charlie deposits the $900 into his account at Bank B. Bank B receives a new $900 deposit from Charlie and then keeps 10%, and it's able to loan out $810. New money has just been created again, and another person now has debt. The multiplier effect. This cycle continues with each new loan creating a new deposit, and each new deposit creating the opportunity for more loans. Okay, so that's the example. So, yeah,
there you go.
So that's a real simplistic, but that's how it works, and that's how debt is created. Okay, and how money is created into the system off of the very initial deposit without anything else ever happening except entry ledgers on the books.
Right? So in other words, it's
and that interest,
and
we're going to talk about the compound interest that the banker gets to charge, just multiplies upon itself over and over and over again. And I have a flow chart on that one too, I think.
I've got it here for you.
You got it? Okay.
Is it this one here?
Yeah, I'm going to skip over to the compound interest. Okay. Perpetual debt and compound interest. That's what we were talking about. Okay. So compound interest ensures that debt grows endlessly and national currencies embody unending obligations. There's several historical references, Spain, Netherlands, and Great Britain. We can discuss those later if you want. But here is the example. I'm going to bring mine up so I can look at it larger. Okay. So you deposit, they give you a loan for $1,000. That's your starting balance. Okay. Then I got a 6% interest rate. So they're going to add $60. Your new balance is $1,060. Mm-hmm. Okay. That starts off your new balance. Then the next month, they're going to charge you 6% on $1,060, which adds, I can't read that. I think it's $63.60. So now your new balance is $1,123.60.
Is that better?
Yeah, I got it. I got it on my screen. So even if you're paying on this, it's going to take you forever to get ahead. Okay. And people have credit cards and home loan. You understand this in real life. Okay. Harvey says this is illegal. I mean, not illegal, but it should be illegal. Okay. And that's one of the things he was fighting against. Banks should be able to charge a monetization fee. Okay. We're not asking the banks to starve. Okay. They should be able to charge for their services. They're the ones taking the risk. They're lending the money out, but it should be something fair. And the way he has it set up in the bill is that you pay your principal off first and you pay your monetization fee last, which if the money is truly backed by something, then the banker gets their principal back and is able to make another loan faster.
So this is what I've done is I've got a compound
you got a
interest calculator.
Okay.
Right. So basically you can download this. It's absolutely great. So then you can, work out how much they compound you by. Right. So your investment, say your initial investment, you put it there, say 10,000 at a rate of 5%, 15 years annually. So you can actually put in the frequency of the compounding. And basically at the end of it, that's how much you're paying.
Right.
You know what I mean? As in, you deduct, is it $10,789.28?
Right.
Just on compound interest.
Yeah. And so homeowners, and that's why, in his bill, it talks about a forgiveness, and it's not a forgiveness of mortgage debt. It is a recalculation. So mortgages that are on the books would be recalculated under the new plan. Okay. So how does that work? Let's say you've been paying on your house, 25 years. Okay. More than likely, when the numbers are recalculated, in other words, your starting balance, what you borrowed, plus the monetization fee, if that has been satisfied by your payments, you're good. Okay. If it hasn't, you still owe some. But nobody walks away scot-free without paying for their house, and the banks are not left out in the cold either. Okay. So that's the way that, and the grifters and all that took that and ran with it as everybody gets a free house. And debt, you're forgiven for your debts. And it's like, no, that's not the way it works.
You saw what happened to that poor lady.
It is. It's really sad. That was Miss Karen in Canada. But it's, that one initial restructure is a personal debt reduction for a great deal of the country, right? So right off the get, that's $1 trillion. I think he had it calculated out to $1 trillion in personal debt savings. And then from there on, it's, as new loans come, and then it's calculated on the new method. So.
And you know how the Fed works as well. So the bank are the ones that they go out there and you go to the bank, you get the loan, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you know that they, through, I think it's Freddie and Fannie, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Freddie and Fannie Mae.
Yeah. I did a whole thing on that. Basically the Fed, that's how they sell so the banks sell the debt and then they purchase it as bonds, you know what I mean?
Right.
And they make, that's why they're able to control the interest rate. So when the interest rate goes up and down, the Fed controls it, the foreign entity controls it, and basically you've got to pay it.
Yes.
The bank holds your property as collateral. Mm-hmm. That's how it is. But they sell off the debt. Yeah.
To a different entity. Yeah.
Exactly. And like Freddie, was it Freddie Mae? Is it Fannie?
Freddie and Freddie Mae, Fannie Mae. I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah.
They're owned by shareholders. So they've got shareholders that own that particular. Yeah, the shareholders involved as well.
So they have to turn a profit for their shareholders.
Exactly. It's really set up as the whole thing stinks. It has to go.
It does. He talks about the Fed in chapter 2. And just I'll run through it real quick because I know we're getting close to time. But it says Federal Reserve, the core idea, hybrid central bank, private bank, owned stock, policy controlled by the government. and an appointed board. The tools they use to manage money are reserve ratios, discount rates, open market operations, and setting the interest rate. It's a hybrid system, as we've talked about several times, balancing public authority with private ownerships, created in 1913 after the Panic of 1907. So I wanted to know what was the Panic of 1907, and a nationwide banking crisis triggered by failed speculation. In other words, banks doing more than they could back up, and there was runs on the bank, loss of confidence, ultimately resolved by J.P. Morgan, private intervention, and it paved the way for the creation of the Federal Reserve. A lot more to the story than that, and we can discuss that later. But
I'll tell you about that one.
Yeah.
That's J.P. Morgan's got to do with the good old Titanic as well.
I've heard the stories, but it shows that political and special interest maneuvering shaped monetary institutions. Okay, that's the bottom line. Political and special interest decided and established this country's monetary system, not the people. This is going to reverse that playing field, right? Because it's our money, it's our country, and worldwide. If this is adopted, that would be great. But we should be able to decide. Okay, it should not be sent out to some other private organization.
That's right. Now, that goes back to Aristotle and Plato. Now, Aristotle said that the people should rule, not the government, whereas Plato said the opposite.
Yeah, because he had that conceptual,
Exactly.
ideology. It's all a theory, which you can see mirrored in our political system today. You've got people with the facts, evidence, and receipts, and the people that think it's they live in the it should be or world.
Well, it's the facts, evidence, and receipts that ground us. In other words, they go around and make all these substantial claims, but they got nothing to back it up. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like we're relying on somebody. It goes back to double oneness, unfortunately, again, right?
Right.
But everything goes back down to there. Now, I don't know what they're going to do when they realize that they've been had.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, it's you're standing on the hill. Okay. And look, how many times in life, and I can speak from personal experience, and I'm sure everybody has had an experience of some kind in their life when they had to stand up and say, "Uh-oh, I was wrong." Okay. It comes a time when you say, okay, I made this mistake, or I was wrong, or I was misled, or whatever the reason is. That's in the past. You have to move on from now. And that choice is completely up to the individual. Right? Just like I said, standing on the hill. You're either going to go down the hill, ski, and go and do what you're supposed to do, or you're going to, what they say, flail and wail about it.
Exactly.
And the flailing and wailing is not going to do anything but waste precious energy. And we could use you on our team, to help us start spreading the word. And we'll run through the website real quick before we.
Yeah, sure, love. Okay. And then we've got time for a couple of questions because I know people.
Oh, yeah. I love questions. Come on, bring it on. Bring it on.
And what we'll do, guys, we're not going to bring you into the studio. You're going to put a Q, meaning question, and your question, so we can be fair to everybody. I think it's that way. It's a lot easier. What do you think?
Yeah, works for me. Works for me.
So yes, put a Q next to your question, so we know we can go bang. We can find it, and please, ask us whatever you like. Just do it in the comment section, and we'll be able to pick it up. Sorry, Dee, what are we doing next?
Oh, okay. While we're waiting on that, let me see if I can do this without disconnecting us. Did you tell them we had
we
some,
finally got there with the tech stuff, didn't we?
I know we had some tech issues, so sorry we were running a little bit late, but we finally got it going. So
yes.
Okay. All right.
As I said, guys, you got to put a Q first, then your question, please, because then it's easy for us to be able to identify it.
I got the website up whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll bring it up now for you. All right. Here we go.
Okay. All right, guys. So this is how you can find us and get the truth that you can share with people. It's the website, NesaraInstitute.com. We've got a blog on here that will give you facts versus myths and also give you information on what Nesara really does. Please share those, download them, pass them out to your friends. Right here, you can buy the book. Okay, so right here, it will take you right to Amazon. Now, I want to make this really clear. There are people who are buying my dad's book here that I put out on paperback and reselling it. So I want y'all to be aware, on Amazon, the Kindle is $24.95, and Amazon actually put the paperback on sale for $37.16. So we're really happy that they did that. But that is the real one. That's in America. I don't know about overseas prices. I know FCB, you said Australia was a little bit different.
Yeah, they just, and the beauty is this, like they got fulfillment centers all around the place. So basically what will happen is the digital copies with Amazon, and it'll print at that fulfillment center, which means you'll get it locally. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. It says it's print on demand. And also back on our website, that interview that we play in the opening, and I think FCB's played it a few times, but you can also hear that on the website. There's a whole nother page about Harvey here that you can read a little bit more about its history and the bill and our mission, and there's some more links there. I am on Facebook. Let me see if I can go to my Facebook page real quick so I can show y'all what.
And I'll just put there's the link right there on the bottom of the screen, guys. So it's right there.
Okay, we can jump over here. This is the official Facebook page. So when that comes up, you'll see a picture of Harvey and a picture of the book, and y'all jump in there and comment, like, share what's on there. Also, don't forget, I did start a Nesara store, and that's what this looks like. And so we've got some mugs and hats and stuff like that. So we would love to have y'all wear our gear.
No, I'm gonna definitely get some.
Yeah. So you got some questions for me?
Yes, I do. Okay. Let me just bring this in, love.
Bring that back.
Okay. Now, this is from Stella. How are you, Stella? Hope you're doing well. So, question: do you think our Reserve Bank in Australia could enter? Yes, it will. Because let me tell you something. Number one, you got the big branch, which is you got like in the head office, right? You got head office, which is over in Washington, right? Over there. So you got the Federal Reserve. These are branches, right? These are all branches. So you cut the head off the Leviathan, naturally all the tentacles are going to drop off. That's logical. Even Julian Assange has said, as far as Australia is concerned, our capital is not Canberra. Our capital is DC. So he's clearly said that as well. And it's true because we are under, this is all factual, Commonwealth of Australia Corporation, right, is under the District of Columbia Corporation. That's all factual. I've shown you the documents have proven that over and over again. So in other words, when that head of the Leviathan gets cut off, all the tentacles drops off. You know what I'm saying, Dee?
Yeah. And so to answer the question then, the Federal Reserve in Australia will go when the big one goes, right? When the one
exactly. So if you want to go to the Q drops, it's in there as well.
Okay.
So it's there. Hopefully that answered your question. Thank you, Stella. Right, yeah, let's go to the next one. You want to read that one, Dee?
Oh, I got something up on my screen. Read it to me.
Okay. Who exactly, this is from EG. Thank you very much, EG. Who exactly does our country have to pay this 37 trillion of debt to the crooked bankers?
Okay. So who exactly does our country have to pay to the 37 trillion to the crooked bankers? Now that's our national debt that we've run up, right? Is that what she's referring to, I guess?
Well, I think EG might be a male from memory. But
what?
I think EG might be a male. from memory.
Okay.
But that one there, what I would say is this. So those $37 trillion, you see, they're always, you're right, national debt, right?
Okay.
So you see, for example, that they need to run government. Government have also got to pay, is this called Social Security there? What do you call it?
It's called Social Security here. Yeah.
Yeah, all these departments that they run, all that sort of stuff, right? So they obviously need to raise the debt ceiling, and because of raising the debt ceiling and increasing the debt, that's how it's gotten that. And President Trump has spoken about that, about removing the debt ceiling.
Right, and they borrow money. Like I said, Congress made it legal for them to borrow money from the Fed. Right? Is that what correct? And so that they continue to do that, or sell their bonds and that kind of stuff, and that raises the amount that we owe because we're using it. We're using it for running the government.
Do you remember what President Trump said? We'll get a little piece of paper. Do you remember that one? I think. Did I show you that? I'm going to show you. You're going to love it.
Oh, okay.
How he's going to pay off the $37 trillion debt.
Yeah, you did. I remember that.
Yeah. No, it's funny
It's
because
brilliant.
it goes. We're going to use the crypto, right? And they were laughing at him. I'm saying, don't laugh at him. He knows exactly what he's going to do.
That's
because
the most
realistically,
brilliant thing I think I've ever heard, because, we're going to pay.
We're going to get rid of your debt. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Okay. No, let me show you, love. How about I roll that clip so we can have a bit of a laugh? Here we go.
I think crypto's got a great future. I think it really does. Maybe we'll pay off the $35 trillion in crypto. I'll write out a little piece of paper, 35 trillion in crypto, leave no debt. Right? That's what I like, right?
Right.
He likes that idea too, he's laughing.
There you go.
There you go. And actually, it is a brilliant plan.
Oh, you think about it, you can do it. And you know what he's doing is alluding to also money being, because, he's talking about crypto being zeros and ones, nothing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, what is money? It's zero. I mean, what's the debt?
Zeros.
It's just zeros and ones again.
That's right.
So it's just
That's right. It's
eliminating it.
It's not tangible. It's not real. It's moving it around that computer screen. So.
Well, that's it. That's exactly right. Okay, I'm just trying to catch up on these ones.
Okay.
Rightio. Let's go down to, I think it's this one, Honduras. Thank you very much, Honduras. What will happen to our cash currently in our hand or hands when fiat currency in the bank goes down? How will the exchange process work here in Australia? Hope we don't lose it. Okay.
Okay, I can't answer Australia, but I can answer it in the bill.
Just answering, I mean, look, think about this. We're all in this together.
Okay, yeah, we're all in this together. Harvey has a specified, laid out plan for redemption. There is even a time frame set, and you will be able to exchange the dollars for whatever the new currency is, okay? And it will be dollar for dollar, okay?
Did you hear that?
It is a step-by-step, this is what happens, this is how long it has to be done in, and the burden is put on the new treasury system to when they crank up, that's their job. Now, once they get all that done, then they start controlling the exchange rate. But there's nothing left to chance there. So yes, to answer your question, yes, you would be able to exchange your fiat currency.
Okay, you just said the magic word, guys. Did you hear it? Okay. You've heard about that word that the grifters use, redemption centers. Okay, how they're going to redemption, they're going to make, but what they're talking about is the reevaluation, the reevaluation. Now, what they're doing is, it goes back to the Iraqi dinar, that little scam, D?
Yes.
How to redeem that money, or
how to redeem,
all that. So that's the, from the dove of dumbness again. But also it goes back to the old grifts, okay, that they've been rebadging. Now, there you go. You heard it. That's Harvey's idea. He said it. There you go. He's the one that came up with this redemption. All right. We all heard it, guys. We all heard it. Would you want to repeat that again, please?
Yeah, and that's why I'm looking to see if I can find it real quick here in the.
Yeah, no, don't call it the RV. No, the reevaluation. Don't even. They've taken everything and they blur the lines. Remember what I said? Fact and fiction. Mm-hmm. Harvey was the one that came up with the idea, to basically get rid of the Fed, the IRS. It's all there.
It's all there. It's all in here. But yeah,
everything's there. That's the thing.
A plan for being able to make sure that you got your money, right? Represented, and you would be able to go in and exchange your dollar. And I don't think he specifically addressed our electronic banking, but it's your bank account. So was it in your bank account would be able to be redeemable. So yeah.
Next one. Okay. So that one there answers right across the board, guys. Remember, we are connected right there. After all, it all comes from there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And not just Australia, the world, everywhere.
Yeah.
We're all connected to this. Okay, so Wolf Breed's got one.
Hi, Wolf.
How do we you read that?
How do we pay credit card debt at 37%? Shouldn't we get the debt paid since the start of the war? Okay.
No, debt paid in full since the start of the war. I think we're all entitled to that debt to be paid.
And what is he talking about? Credit card debt?
Well, credit card debt, okay, now that's a rort. It really is. The whole thing's a rort anyway. Mortgages, we know morto means death and gage means pledge. Credit card debt.
That's not secured. Okay.
It's not secured.
Okay, so no, Harvey's bill addresses loans on secured loans. Okay, so this would be mortgages. I guess a car loan. It's secured by some type of collateral, and that would fall under the recalculation. Personal debts, lines of credit, that kind of stuff would not be recalculated. However, compound interest would go away. Okay, so they're not going to be able to charge you this compound interest anymore. So people still have to pay their debts on from their personal loans and student loans and stuff like that.
Rightio.
Yeah.
Next one, EG again. Does our stolen money from taxes get returned with compound interest?
There's nothing about that in the bill. I'm sorry.
God.
There is nothing about that in the bill. So.
Okay. Remember, guys, we're basing everything off Harvey's work, okay?
Right, yeah.
Let's go here. Lulu51. If banks go down, will they be educated on how to figure out our loans?
Oh, yeah. That would all be in the rollout, okay? So as Harvey has it in the bill, he has it lined out, and all of those calculations and new ways to recalculate the loans would all be done. So like I said, when we get to the bill part, which is chapter 5, we'll go through that step by step and show you. But yeah, the banks are a part of the system. And so they will be re-educated.
Awesome. So we got Randy Spurlock. How are you, Randy? Question, once you pay off your house, how much is the finance charge and what is the finance charge for?
Okay, that would be the monetization fee. I believe he has a percentage in there, a maximum that they could charge. I don't know that he put a minimum on it, but we'll get those numbers for you. And it depends on it's a percentage of what your full loan amount was. But I can guarantee you it's less than a 30-year mortgage at compound interest by a sizable amount. So let me put it into perspective. When you buy a house now, by the time you finish your mortgage, you've paid for 2.5 houses. Okay. So under Harvey's plan, you would be paying for a house and a half. So take your own personal situation and do your own numbers.
Agreed. It's
Okay.
Yep. Next one, Billy. So the Zim, Dinar, Dong, Bolivar, etc. will be 1-for-1 with dollar. No. Look,
I don't know anything about that.
okay,
Sorry.
let me speak about this rule. I go by what President Trump says. Now, President Trump talks about creating an even playing field. Right now, you've got, say, Zimbabwe dollars, which are $1 trillion notes or whatever, big numbers, right? They're not going to go 1-for-1. You know, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, does it? There's no logic behind it. I mean, you've heard Mr. Dr. Charlie Ward, King Grifter himself, pushing the little Zimbabwe dollars. This is his little thing, and the others, right? That they claim that they're going to, remember, what do con artists do? They go after people's goodness, you know? And that's what sort of gives them grounding. Oh, he must be a good person. He thinks about us because he wants humanitarian stuff. No. He's saying that the Zimbabwe dollar is, you know, he's got $1 trillion notes, whatever, big, you know, massive numbers. And he says he's only paid about €500, whatever it is, $500 worth. But he's saying that they're going to be able to exchange it at a redemption center. Get this, you're going to laugh, right? Are you ready?
Okay.
At a redemption center. And then there's going to be the ETs there, and they're going to see if you're worthy of getting this thing or not. And you've got to produce a plan, and so you can do humanitarian work. You know, it's all the dove of oneness again. You know, go back to there. You can see what I mean.
Yeah, I think I follow. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been through this in the Kraken, guys, as well. Please watch the Kraken, Billy, and I have spoken about it in great detail, about the dinar and the dong. And I have shown you that these are cons that have been redone, rebadged again, right? Go and watch the Kraken. I explained all that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Well, I think, you know, this is an exchange rate. What Harvey's bill addresses America's monetary system, okay? So what is done in other countries is up to the other countries. But, you know, if you've got an exchange rate of, what you were saying, a billion of whatever that is to $1, then that's what it's going to cost you. Yeah, okay.
Zimbabwe. Yeah.
Okay. But in the United States, in his plan is an even exchange rate.
Right. And that means, look, we know that the United States is the benchmark, right? The greenback is the benchmark. So that's how you see that's all connected up. Everything's connected.
Yeah.
Right? So, in other words, whatever happens there, it affects the rest of us. We're all connected to this.
Right.
That makes perfect logical sense. Therefore, we want an even playing field for all, right?
For everyone. Yeah. And so that's why it's in everyone's best interest to make sure America has a fair and honest monetary policy, because that's going to directly affect you wherever you are.
Exactly. So you think about it, I mean, you got these dongs, right, which are Vietnamese dongs, $1 million dong, and you're getting a 1-for-1, and people got a shitload, pardon my French, a lot of them. And what? No, that's not being fair. That's
no, it wouldn't
fair.
work that way. It wouldn't work.
It's because what they've done is their currency, they've got low value currency, and what they've done is people are thinking, oh, that's going to go up, and they're going to make money from that, right?
I see where you're going with that. Yeah, I see where you're going with that. Okay, so they invest in that because it's low, thinking that one day it's going to shoot up and be worth more.
Yeah, the ding dongs. Yeah. Okay. Ding dongs. Yeah. Okay, we got one here from Carol. Oh, we love Carol. How are you, Carol? She's my lovely admin. Wouldn't the debt be 0 and 1s also? Well, think about it. It is 0s and 1s.
It is 0 and 1s now. That's why paying it with crypto is such a great idea.
Yeah, right on a piece of paper.
Just gotta stick it out there.
That's genius. I love that, man. Anyone else have any questions, guys? You know, don't be shy. We don't bite. Only those that deserve to be
And
bitten.
if I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know. I'm not.
Exactly. Thank you, Lulu, for that lovely feedback. Thank you so much, FCB&D, for helping educate us on the important matters, okay, for all of us. Anxious for Saturday. For next Saturday. Anxious for next Saturday. Oh, yeah, okay. The next show.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Randy again. You want to read that one?
Okay. What about someone that has paid off their home? Would they get money back since it was no? This is not retroactive. Okay. This is a clean cut. All right. Existing mortgages and secured loans get recalculated. And then going forward, new loans are based on the new formulas. So there's no refund.
Okay, so think about this, right? The way I see it, Dee. We've been used to the max in every which way possible, right? So, in other words, when things flip over, you can see that they get rid of the Fed, they get rid of the IRS. So, what happens to all the usury? I think that's the question that they'll want to know. What happens to all the usury that they've committed against all the people with their mortgages, these loans that are all been up because it's unlawful. It literally is unlawful what they've been doing.
Yeah, the bill doesn't make any provisions for that. This is a clean slate. Let's fix it and move on. So those questions would have to be answered by, I guess, if the people demanded it or whatever, legal repercussions could be enacted.
Well, that's very interesting. Isn't it?
Harvey was thinking more about the future, and which is it? Triage. We stop the bleeding, and we pick up and move on.
Right. Okay.
But it's a good point, and so hopefully it's something that we can address.
This one here. Do you want to read that one?
Isn't the credit card debt part of the cabal? I was paying 12.9% 2 years ago and went to 37%. Isn't that racketeering? It depends on in any credit card or any personal type loan, you sign an agreement. Okay, that's a contract between you and the company that's giving the lending. So you are bound by that agreement. Again, that type of thing would go away. They would not be able to charge compound interest.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are not looking at. We haven't even discussed the real tax side of this and all of the benefits that would be coming back to you in your paychecks and the other things that no capital gains tax, no inheritance tax, no Social Security tax, which Trump has already headed down that road, and no capital gains, no inheritance, and no corporate tax. Okay, which is a permanent incentive for companies not only to do business here but to stay doing business here. As we know, we see that pendulum swing back and forth, and right now, I think President Trump is doing that with the tariffs. My fear has always been that Trump and his successors will probably, not going to always be there. And, the next, when the pendulum swings the other way, and it always does, they'll change that. So I want something permanent that they cannot change.
That's what President Trump's working on.
Yeah. I believe he is.
Now, what I want to bring to the table is this, Dee, that we're going by Harvey's work. Now, whatever President Trump does, he's going to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what we got to get. Now, what I feel is that people have gotten too used to the lies and the deceptions. That's why they're like, I get it. Look, we've all been treated like, a bunch of debt slaves. We've all been done wrong. We get it. And what we need to do is allow President Trump to do what he's doing right now, and is to make these changes permanent. But we're basing things on Harvey's work. We must get it. So whatever Dee's telling you, she's basing it on Harvey's work. She's not like she's not like those others out there that are sitting there and they talk crap, right?
Right.
It's true, right?
I'm not going to tell you what I think you want to hear. Okay?
Exactly.
I'm going to tell you what's in the book, and I'm urging you, if you want to have a serious discussion with other people in your community and help and even educate people as to what President Trump is doing, you need to understand the things we talked about tonight, the other things in the book. And what I wanted to point out as the closing point is that the reason you need to understand these is so that you can clearly communicate and understand why a bill like this is necessary, why we need it, okay, and why these principles are important for any monetary system of any country.
Mhm.
You know? But if you don't understand the basics, you can't get there. But again, no, I'm not one that's going to blow sunshine up your skirt and tell you
Exactly.
I'm going to tell you what Harvey's work said, and you can draw your own conclusions. And that's why I tell people, buy the book. Here's the deal I made when I first started. Read it. If you don't like it, fine. At least you know the truth. If you do like it, get involved.
Exactly. Now, Sanselina, thank you for your question. So the government gets to keep the money stolen from you. Now, look, President Trump is obviously doing what he needs to do. He's exposing all the fraud, right? He is.
Mm-hmm.
He's using Doge, and Doge is also using AI. So AI is, that's why they're able to do these audits at record speed, because of the artificial intelligence. They've incorporated that, right? And the big beautiful bill also incorporates that in there, right? So it's all there. Now, he's exposing the fraud, and he's getting rid of the waste and the money that's been stolen by the government and all that. Look, obviously he knows all this. Okay. Now it is unjust. I totally agree with you. 120%. The whole system is unjust. So we just got to allow President Trump to do what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say. What do you think, Dee? Would you like to add to that?
I agree. Let him, he has a plan. And I believe that based on the things that he's done already, a great deal of it came from this. And one of the things that Harvey calls for is not only the gold backing and the fairness of the system, but checks and balances, okay, accountability. And that's what we have been lacking.
Agreed.
Our elected representatives have sold us down the river. Okay. And so, yeah, it would be nice to go back and say, I want my money back from the past, but that's unrealistic. Okay. And that's just a fact. It's unrealistic. You have to cut your losses. Let's get a new system and move on.
Okay.
But you got to know,
one.
what you want. So. Go. I got another one. Okay. What about help for disabled and the homeless? That's a social program. This bill does not address social programs. However, when you look at what would be saved in your paycheck and taxes and that kind of stuff, the disabled and homeless would the communities and humanity would be better able to help them. You're not going to, as I understand it in Harvey's bill, I want to make sure that I want to double check this, but as I understand it, Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare, they're not touched, okay? They'll stay intact. So I don't know specifically what type of assistance he's referring to or they're referring to for disabled and homeless, but those social programs would not be affected.
Okay, so Real Patriot 4. What about states making you pay a luxury tax for every year you own a car that is paid for? Isn't this theft or extortion?
I don't know. Okay, so states have their individual rules, right? So, I'm in Louisiana. I've never had to pay a luxury tax for every year I've owned a car. So
that's the unfairness of the system. I think in that sense, things need to overhaul. Really needs an overhaul.
Right.
And
that's a state issue. So, whatever state you live in, that's something that the residents of that state need to protest.
I think that President Trump is dealing with all these kind of issues. And you know what? You see the different sales tax, right, in each, shall we say, state. Now one's higher, one's lower. We need to come to what does President Trump think about what President Trump says? Even playing field. He doesn't just mean, trade and this. No, he's talking about right across the board. That's what I believe, Dee. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, states set their own sales tax based on their expenditures, right? And that's kind of what adjusts that sales tax. They need more money, they raise the tax. Don't ever recall them lowering it, but they will raise the sales tax and property tax to meet their budget, right? So again, we're back to oversight. Who's overseeing these state budgets? You know, your Secretary of State, whoever, your treasurer, state treasurer. These people need to have the citizens on top of them to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do with your money.
Great. Now, another thing is we're talking about the sovereign fund, right? Have you heard about President Trump who's talking about the sovereign fund?
No.
It's about allowing the assets that are in the United States to make money. So freeing up these assets, right? That's what the sovereign fund's all about. Freeing up these assets to be able to generate money.
Okay. I'll define assets. What kind of assets is he talking about?
Yeah, well, let me see if I've got a definition of that available, because I know it's all about freeing up assets in an essence, like, you know, I mean, assets that have been, shall we say, locked down by design. Because remember, it's all been about weakening America in every which way. You've seen it, right? That's why President Trump's brought in the tariffs and all that sort of thing.
Right.
He's doing everything he possibly can, and Russia's got its own sovereign fund. So it's using its assets to generate wealth as well for the country. That's why they call it a sovereign fund.
I see. Yeah, and I'm curious as to what assets he's referring to. You know.
Okay, let me see if I can find that one for you. Okay, because we got to comprehend what it means. So sovereign fund, USA. Okay, so yeah, it's about funding mechanisms, investment strategies, and fund structure, right?
Okay.
So I've got the definition here, guys. Let's have a look at this one. A sovereign wealth fund or sovereign investment fund is a state-owned investment fund that invests in real and financial assets, such as stocks, bonds, real estate, precious metals.
Okay.
Right? And it's an alternative investment such as private equity funds or hedge funds. So it's about investing and then bringing that into the country, like, you know.
I see now. Yeah, I see now. So it's, in other words, it is something that you would buy into like you would any other fund, mutual fund, hedge fund, that kind of thing. But that money is utilized to either better or preserve or utilize our assets here to generate more wealth.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I'm for that.
So, you know, and Russia's got a sovereign fund and other countries around the world. And President Trump says, why don't we have one either? Because it's all been about, this is what it's been about, it's always been about weakening America. All right. In every which way possible. Yeah. So
I think I would have to ask, I think I would have to ask, okay, who is going to oversee these sovereign funds? You know, who's in charge of managing this money, you know, just like you would with any other investment.
Well, he's got his team there, obviously.
Okay, yeah, well, and so who is that, and what are they going to, you know, do? With it? Just like anything else, you gotta watch.
Yes,
so.
Yeah, of course. Who is running the sovereign fund in the US? Yeah, very important. I agree. So it's basically Scott Bessent. Okay, he's got his team. Yeah, they're doing it. Okay. The Trump administration is establishing a new decentralized national sovereign wealth fund. Now, decentralized means it's not under the bank. It's not under the Fed. It's not under that mechanism, right? So it's decentralized. Centralized, you know, you talk about central bank, centralized. They're decentralizing everything. They're taking away their power, right?
Yeah.
With plans developed by secretaries of the Treasury and Commerce, right? So Scott Bessent is leading the effort to monetize the government assets. Like I said, monetize. That's the word I want to look at. Monetize the government assets. So basically, that increases the wealth of the country.
Right. Investing in yourself.
Well, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
It does. It makes great sense.
So hopefully that explained it. I think it was a pretty good explanation.
That was good.
The best. Yeah, okay.
That was good. On the fly.
Now, obviously, all the other countries are going to follow as well. Now, remember, we are all connected. We got to remember that, guys. We are all connected to one another. What will happen to did we answer that one?
What would happen to fiat money for those who have current accounts in other countries? It kind of goes off the screen there. Externally from the current country that they live in.
So in other words, what happens to the fiat currency for those who have current bank accounts in other countries? Externally from the current. Okay, so if you got a bank account in another country, I think that's what he's getting at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what happens to the money in that account?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. I'll have to look in Harvey's bill and see if he makes any provision for accounts held outside the continental U.S. You know, how does that? How would that be handled? That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Yeah, I mean, look, these are all great questions, guys, and don't be shy. Just there's never a stupid question.
Write that one down. No, there's not.
Okay, we've got this one here. You want to write that one down first?
Yeah, no, I'm writing this one down so I can look into it.
I got it right in front of your screen right there. Is that the one you wanted?
Yes, Thank you.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, look, remember, we are connected. This is what people got to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is connected to a central, like as in the, what do you call a head office? You want to call it a head office, right? Everything's connected to that. Now, it's like what I said before. You cut off the head of the Leviathan, the tentacles are going to fall off, right? It's basically, it's going to trickle down. Everything's going to trickle down.
Right.
So when fiat currency, because we are moving away from this fiat currency system, I can tell you. That's back, you know what fiat currency is? It's backed by nothing, right?
It's backed by debt. And we're going to outline that in the next one. Yeah, it's backed by
our sweated equity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So think about it from this perspective, right? That goes down, everything goes down with it, right? So, and they're saying, I know that people are worried about their money in, remember, it's all connected, and the solution is also connected. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's all going to work because everything has been operating, this fiat currency system, all that, it comes from the States, guys.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it, right? The Federal Reserve, we've got a reserve bank, but it's basically it's a branch of the Federal Reserve. It does exactly whatever the Federal Reserve tells it to do. It's like the stock market in the United States. It affects the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get what I mean? It's all connected.
Yeah. So there will be some, whatever happens here is going to have a trickle down effect. Yeah. And I can understand people's fear. I get questions all the time, people asking about, am I going to lose my investment or this and that?
Yes.
No, it's, but I cannot tell you exactly what will happen, but I will definitely look into that and see, if there's something in the bill that addresses that specifically.
Yes. Rightio. Did you write that question down?
I did. I have it right here. And I thought it was so silly when I was writing, and I thought I'd just go back and play it.
Then we got this one here. I meant money laundering to other foreign countries. Okay, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. Okay, so that's off the same question.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying, I meant money laundering to other. Okay, let me read that question again. Because obviously, what will happen to the fiat money for those who have current bank accounts in other countries externally from the current country they live in, right? We said that. We covered that.
Mm-hmm.
We said we're going to get back to you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one we're going to get back to? The one?
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to know what, yeah.
Will they lose funds that exist in foreign countries? But then he says, question, I meant money laundering to other foreign countries.
I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, no, you're going to have to reword that properly, Linduris. Yeah. Again, the whole question, please.
Yeah,
and
he
in
can
sequence.
Redo it. We'll try to answer it.
Yes.
But look, go to the website, go to the contact me, and send me an email, and we'll try to get you an answer, and that way you can have the time to type whatever you want.
Exactly. I mean, look,
okay.
It's hard to answer those kind of questions because they require a lot of thought. And you got to go to your references as well as your dad.
I want to go to my
work is.
references. I want to make sure I'm giving people the right answer. And if there is an answer in here, then I want them to have that. So that's what I said. If y'all have questions, do not hesitate. Go hit the contact me. I answer my emails and I will get the team in on it, and we will get you an answer. So.
And this, I mean, look, guys, I know these kind of questions. I mean, look, we can't answer it all because, realistically speaking, I know you've been told other things from the pseudo Nesara, Gesara, what do you want to call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's like these concerns are, like you can see, they're obviously, what we're trying to do is show you what's fact and fiction. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, people have got things like, well, will countries' resources, so thank you for this one, Kathy, will countries' resources that have royalties be returned to the people?
I can't answer that. I don't know. That's out of the scope of the bill. The bill addresses the elimination of the Federal Reserve, the returning us to a gold standard, the elimination of compound interest, and tax reform from a income-based tax to a consumption-based tax. All of these other questions, while good and valid, and I think that they're important, that they should be explored, are not covered in the bill, right? And so that's what we're dealing with. And again, I know that these people who have built people out of money are going to tell you at that moment whatever they think that you want to hear, that's going to keep you on the hook and keep you coming back and giving them their money. I'm not like that, and what I'm asking for is your participation and get an education on what is real. This is not a ditto sheet, okay, with a bunch of wishes. This is real book, real history, real calculations, and solid information. It is a foundation to build on. Not everything in here may be something that we like, but we got to learn everything that's in it so that when things come down the pike, we can say, wait a minute, either I like this or I don't like that. Without the education, we can't get there. So,
now, I think, AJ, we did answer that question before.
Which one?
We do?
What about the
that one there?
Is our money that we have? Oh, yeah. Under the bill, it would be safe. That we answered that there would have an exchange. Now, if your cash money, he has it outlined in there where you would be able to redeem it for either whatever the new paper money was, or you'd be able to redeem it for what they call specie, which is actually the hard coins. Because he has it in the bill exactly what the coins would be made of, what the weight is.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh man, it's down to the, he's a systems analyst. So all of that is calculated out. There's no guesswork. But yes, your money in the bank would be safe. It's not going to go away.
Okay, so we got one from Rollerbug. Will we not pay taxes on our own property and will be refunded the money? I think we covered that before.
Real quick, property taxes are a state and local thing. They do not have to, it's not a federal tax. So those kind of taxes are handled, like I said, with your own representatives in your state or county or whatever it may be.
Awesome.
Okay.
Everyone loves it. You're loving these questions, darling. We opened up the floodgates. I know you got to go soon, but
that's okay. That's okay. Place is like Fidelity okay to put money in? Which ones are run by the government and safer? I don't know. Like I said, I think what they're asking is what place or
what's Fidelity?
Is that a particular bank? Is that a particular investment company? Or I don't know.
Yeah, what is Fidelity? I mean, is it? Yeah, no, you're right. Because look, when we ask questions, we got to be specific. Otherwise, Fidelity Investments, is that what you're talking about? Investments, retirement plans? Is that what she's referring to?
Could be. And that's a mutual fund or stock market and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I think that's what they're referring to.
All investments are risky. That's what I'm going to tell you.
This one here. See that?
Okay. Yeah, I've had several questions about investments and I don't give investment advice. It's any investment is a risk. Okay. Now, does this bill discuss investments? Not that I'm aware of. So that's something outside of the scope.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. Read this one here, Billy.
I asked because is that white replacement?
What does that mean? Sorry.
I don't know.
No, that doesn't make any sense, Billy. You're gonna have to rephrase that. Thank you.
Do you believe Harvey's bill will go over into law? Well, that is a great question. As we can see, and as you know, from my perspective, I can see that President Trump is certainly utilizing parts of Harvey's bill. And now, will the bill in its entirety ever go into effect? That is up to us. Okay, I can't drive that home enough. Once we learn what's in the bill, and I know what's in it, but once you guys learn it, get behind it, we have to tell our representatives that this is what we want. And as I talked about in the last episode, issues are issues because people make them issues. That's why we have things that are ridiculous that we're talking about, like which bathroom that we're going to use and all this kind of crazy stuff. If you want to let your representatives know, you got to stick it in their face. How do you do that? You email them. Make yourself a goal. Okay, find out who your federal representatives are. Every week you sit down and you send 2 emails. Okay, do it twice a week. Follow it up with a written letter. Stay consistent. If everybody that's let's just say in the United States is listening would commit to do that, they're going to start getting this information. Okay, I've talked to a lot of folks. I've sent a copy to Rand Paul. I've sent a copy to John Kennedy. Several other people in the administration. Okay, if enough people start asking, "Hey, what about this? What about this? What about this?" I'm telling you, in the coffee room, they're going to be sitting around going, "Hey, have you been getting these emails? Have you been getting these emails?" Yeah, we're gonna have to address this. Okay, so that's how we push it to the forefront. So I would like to see, but even Harvey said, if the bill doesn't get passed, if it generates discussion, makes people aware and educated, then we have made a difference.
Yes.
I hope that answers your question. It's a little
Philip from Colombia. This is Philip from Colombia.
Okay.
All right, all the way from Colombia. Questions, sister. What will happen to people who have debts in bank when the National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act is passed worldwide?
Okay, if this was something that would go worldwide and it followed the tenets of Harvey's
please don't
bill,
call it the other name, please.
What?
I don't want to call it the other, Gesara business.
No. If it were to go worldwide, that's right, and it followed the tenets in Harvey's proposed bill, then secured loans, again, houses, cars, things that have collateral, would be recalculated. Any personal debt, unsecured debt, let's just not call it personal debt, let's say unsecured debt, student loans, credit cards, stuff like that, they wouldn't be able to charge you compound interest anymore, but you still have to pay that.
Okay. So the Fidelity Investment was an investment company, like I showed you before, so I was on the right track, right? So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we covered that just before.
We did.
Does Nesara say anything about retirement benefits and at what age?
It does not.
It doesn't. Not. Okay. Rightio. Let's see what else we have here. No, we love your questions, guys. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Fun. Billy again. Will there be anything to help the third world nations so they don't keep flooding the Western world? Well,
not in the bill specifically. Okay. Again, this is a bill that addresses the honesty and fairness of a monetary system. So it does not address outside nations.
But you know what? I can say something about this. President Trump has been saying about an even playing field. But then he's also been creating relationships and huge trade with third world countries to help them, because think about it, they're being pillaged.
Yeah.
Right? They're being pillaged. Their resources are being pillaged, and it's all about creating fair trade an even, playing field for everybody. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone's going to benefit.
If you have a fair monetary system in the world, then things have naturally got to improve, and,
Of course.
yeah.
It makes logical sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Now, as I said, guys, if you want to ask a question, I will give you another 5 more minutes.
Okay.
All right. I think you got 5 more minutes to spare.
I got it.
Yeah. Quick cue on the front and your question. Otherwise, we're not going to answer it, guys. We need the cue in the front, You should all be used to the cue by now.
I would think.
We should all be used to it. So, Dean, I mean, look, there are a lot of things that make logical sense. There's a lot of concerns, and we get it. We know there's a lot of unfairness in this world, a lot of usury and all that. But whether we work with what's on Harvey's, what is in his book, what is in his proposal, that's what we work within those realms. But what we can do is basically go by what's actually happening. So, for example, we can tell you and show you there's a bill in Congress.gov and show you that there's a bill going to going back to gold standard. We can tell you there's a bill going to get rid of the Fed, which also makes sense because it's in Harvey's proposal. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And there's also a bill about taxation. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, it's not a great bill. I don't like it, but still those things are there. So you can see the correlation between what President Trump is doing and what Harvey wrote in 1996. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we're heading in the right direction. But then again, the thing is, we have to have the education. We have to know what the possibilities are and what we are willing to accept and not to accept. That's why I encourage people to read it.
Exactly. And what we need to get out of is this thing where I know, look, there's a lot of people and they're going by what they're being taught, with the
sure, and that's
pseudo Nesara, pseudo Gesara, because look, I get it. Everyone basically found out through that method, the falsehood to get to where we are right now. Do you know what I mean? So
right.
Everyone knew about that first.
Right. And it's difficult for people, they were promised the moon and the stars. And those are unrealistic expectations. Okay. Well, if you look at that wish sheet, there are maybe 5 or 6, 7 of those items that are in Harvey's bill, but the rest of them are not. And then there's some things that have been brought up in these questions that I don't recall ever seeing on that little ditto sheet wish list, which I'm sure were things that may or may have not been promised as it grew and as it went. Again, they tell you what you want to hear to keep you there. That's their job. They got to keep that thing flowing. And we're going by what the facts are, and you get to, and not everybody's going to, get what they want. But the point is, number one, we open an educated discussion based on the facts. We get to talk about it. We get to decide what we want. We get to relate it to what's going on and actually be able to tell our representatives, hey, I like that or I don't like that.
Yeah. San Selena. So if taxes are going away and not being refunded, how can we still be getting taxed from our paycheck? So
You won't be. Okay. So what this does is it gets rid of the Internal Revenue Service. You will not be taxed on your income. The money that they're taking out right now for your federal taxes goes right back into your check. Okay. In fact, all of the Social Security taxes, Medicaid, all of that comes back into your check. So your paycheck goes up. You will pay your tax at the register when you buy something. Okay. Now, at a 14% sales tax is what Harvey proposed. This, people say, oh, well, that, it's too much or whatever. There are things that are exempt from being taxed. And this is how it helps lower income people. Food, rent, medicine, medical services, some raw materials for manufacturing are not taxed. So lower income people who that's kind of mostly what they're spending money on is food and rent and medical service and stuff like that, will pay a lower percent of the overall tax. If you are a wealthy person and you're buying cars and houses and jewelry and a whole lot of other stuff, then yeah, you're going to pay more. Both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, shout out the rich people ought to pay more money when it so suits their purposes for their narrative. Okay, this does it. Okay, one fell swoop. So you will have more money in your pocket and you get to choose. Now, here's another kicker about this is that you get financial privacy. Okay, you know, we're talking about crypto, digital currency, currency that's done with biometric through your iris or through fingerprint or something like that. That they know everything about you. Under Harvey's system, you keep your receipt or don't keep your receipt. It doesn't matter, okay? Because you're not going to have to prove to anybody that you get a deduction, right? I paid my tax at the register. Okay, so here comes the other question. How is that tax collected? Harvey has it lined out, line item by line item. The Internal Revenue Service just changes, okay? Instead of being the Internal Revenue Service, it becomes the national sales tax, okay? So just like people today, businesses send their sales tax in, okay? The same thing, okay? So while the department may be smaller, it was not kicking people out of their jobs. They're just changing their function, okay? And that tax money that goes there will then fund all of these other things that the government does.
So
that's a long answer. I hope it.
I've got a logical. Let me throw something your way, right?
Sorry.
Think about it from this. Now, getting rid of the Fed, right? Think about this. The Fed has purchased the debts from the banks, right? So all the mortgages, all that. When you get rid of the Fed, think about it.
Oh, I see where you're going.
You know where I'm going with this.
I see where
so
you're
that's
going.
why I'm saying it all comes back to this again. Right?
Yeah.
So you think about it logically. And it's all factual. I've been proving this over and over in all the documents and everything else. Now, the Fed purchased the debts, right? So basically the bank keeps the collateral. They got hold of that.
Right.
But the actual, shall we say, the debt is sold off to the Fed. Now, it makes logical sense to me. You get rid of the Fed, you get rid of the debt as well with it. Does it make sense, guys? Now, that's where you use logic. And also President Trump about tariffs. So in other words, he wants to get rid of the income tax, right? And get rid of the IRS needs to go. The IRS is created. It's in Puerto Rico. It's on its own piece of land. It's basically above the laws of the United States. It's a foreign entity, just like the Federal Reserve. Now, the IRS also it's got its own head office over there in Puerto Rico. Now, that is also has its own branches worldwide. Different names, same, but it's all connected. So it's all going to collapse. Once you cut the head off the Leviathan, you get rid of the number one. It makes sense, right? Logically speaking.
Connecting some dots, yeah.
You would get rid of all the debt. Bang, see you later, right? Because the Fed bought the debt. You get rid of the Fed, it's gone, right? Okay. And you think about debt. Like, what do we say? What is debt? Zeros and ones. It was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was created by fractional reserve banking.
Exactly. So logically, you can see from a logical standpoint that makes all perfect sense, and that's where it all goes back to Harvey's work again.
Right.
Then you bring in the biometallics, which is gold and silver. What are we doing? We're seeing gold and silver increasing in value, and then we're seeing the countries worldwide are increasing the stockpiles of the gold and silver. They're preparing. It's all happening in the background. You could see it. The writing's on the wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
China's bought a shitload of gold, a lot of gold. Russia, all them, and they're all working together. This is the thing. They're all working together. They're getting ready to bring it in. And this is because of this, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Everything comes out of here. Now, Everything will be revealed at the right time. I'm sure it will be. You can see all the mechanisms are starting to be put in place. Like the bills are introduced. They're already in Congress.gov. They're there. You know what I mean? It's not something that's fictional. It's fact. You can go there and find it.
They're separate bills. They're not all encompassing. But when you look at the core principles of those, they come from here. So if you want to understand the mechanics of how that was derived, how it came up, and more importantly, the why. The why is what's important. Why are these changes necessary?
Now, going to a treasury-based system is the logical solution. You're eliminating, number one, you're eliminating that foreign entity. Goodbye. You know what I mean? Getting rid of the IRS, getting rid of that. And you think about this, like the banks have also been involved in usury. Oh, don't you worry about that. They all have been. And there's going to be a consequence with them as well. Now, President Trump, think about, I'm going to talk about this. It'll make sense, D.
Okay.
So, you know what stable coin's all about?
Yes.
Okay, so stable coin is basically got a tethering facility, like it's a connection, tether, and it's the only thing that can connect to a physical asset. So to a gold bar and all that.
Right.
It's not XRP. That's not. Let's get that right. I've been through that. Explained that they're not. Basically, XRP is not backing gold. XLM's not backing silver. That's all facts. The only thing that can connect to a physical asset is stable coin. President Trump has even said it. It's out there. Now, think about this. He's trying to decentralize. So basically, he's creating a decentralized system, taking the power away from the Fed and the banks.
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly what he's doing. And you can see it. It's all in the works now. So it's just a matter of time. Now, what he's doing is this trillions of dollars, it's going to be used to tank the Fed. It's going to destroy it. He's putting it all on the Fed, and it's going to be destroyed once and for all, the debt. You know? What would he say? Write that little piece of paper of crypto. That's zeros and ones. Right. And then on the other side, you got the debt that's zeros and ones, and you write it on a little piece of paper, and it cancels
everything out.
How genius is that man? I love that man. He's amazing.
Yes, he's brilliant.
You know, anything else, guys? The Treasury takes over the debt. Now, you think about it, like, okay, so you got debt, right? As I said, the Fed purchases the debt, the mortgage debt, right? And there is the credit card debt, which is obviously different. It's a different ball game, isn't it? There's a difference. What did Harvey talk about? Did he talk about that sort of debt?
What, talk about credit card debt?
Yeah.
Unsecured. His bill addresses secured loans. Unsecured loans, again, the only effect that would be on those would be no more compound interest. Okay. They would still be able to charge a fee. You're borrowing money, right? But there is no recalculation of that.
The way it would make logical sense to me, and I'm just using logic because I like to use logic, right? So you think about this credit card system is set up with usury. It's
right,
full on usury, right? So you think about it, you've paid your debt and then some, and then forget about it.
I can see their point. Yeah, I'm not.
So you can see that it'll be cancelled out in the sense, like you think about the amount of usury that they've done. Logically speaking, right? They should wipe that out.
Yeah, and that is something that can be discussed, like I said, but it's not in his bill. But is it a fair course of action? Yeah, if it was done correctly, yeah, could be.
We just got to distinguish between the two. So whatever's in Harvey's book, which is obviously not.
Yeah.
But what we believe, based on logic,
if we, if that things were to go that way, then yes,
it only
be a
makes
possibility.
Sense.
But it's.
It only makes logical sense because if President Trump's bringing down this Fed, getting rid of that system, it's going to get rid of that debt, right? Because it's connected, right? Then you got the usury, because it is usury. That's unlawful. What they've been doing, so we got to know the difference between the word legal and lawful. Lawful, unlawful, and illegal. Now, their system is based on the word illegal and legal. That's their legalese, that system that they've created. Okay? But realistically speaking, the law is the law. And if it's lawful, it's lawful. If it's unlawful, but do you see what I mean? It's all to do with terminology.
Semantics. It's semantics. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we can talk about logic. We can talk about what they should be doing. But with Harvey's book and proposal, we've got to create the, basically, this is what he said, this is not in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is what we were about, guys. We're about showing you the facts and some receipts.
Yeah.
You know?
And then, but the open discussion about these kind of issues is very important. Once you know what's in the book and you can say, okay, hey, this is right here. What about XYZ? What about these other things that we can have open discussions about and say, yeah, this should be something we should campaign for. We should say, yeah, we want this included or that included or this excluded or that kind of thing.
So, sorry, love, I know you're running out of time here. It's on the roll now. The tap's open and it's flooding. Anyone that has XRP, should they sell it before? Okay, we don't give financial advice.
I'm not going to give you
number one.
financial advice. So.
But that being said, look at what's logical. That's what I do. Go to logic, right? You can't go wrong. XRP, like any cryptocurrency, is based on a fear and greed index. That's what it's based on. The fact is, it's not backed by gold. You've been hearing that by the grifters, by the liars and the deceivers out there. Please, Billy, watch the Kraken. I've explained it in, shall we say, the utmost detail with all the facts and receipts right there. But it's not backed by gold. That's fact, right?
Yeah. Oh.
So if it crashes, it's basically going to crash, like anything else, because it's not backed by a tangible asset.
Right. It's not backed by real wealth.
Exactly. And we're all about, we did go through this before where we said, are we going to lose our savings in the bank? And Dee said no.
No, bank accounts, I think if in the United States, he has a plan for, exchange and it would be my understanding, like I said, that your money in the bank would, if you went to withdraw it, then they're going to give you the new currency, not the fiat debt currency.
Okay, we've got another bill here. Bill 5775, question. As an American state national, we are going to have our own gold-backed bilateral banking system. Is that a question or a statement?
I think it's a statement. So.
Yeah, I think it's a statement. No. Yeah. Questions, thanks, okay, Bill. Anyway, anyone else? I think we're going to wrap it up, Dee.
Okay.
I think, look, we did cover a lot today.
This. Yeah, we did. And I thought, excuse me, the questions are great. And it was just fabulous. And that's what I like. I like to see this open kind of discussion where we can see, what's on people's mind and the questions that they have and the concerns that they have about doing that. Again, like I said, read it and learn. And the more you do, then the more questions you'll have that we can get answered for you. So, and
awesome.
I thank everybody for joining us.
And also, if you want to find out more information, you can go to https://nesarainstitute.com. Okay, yep. We went through that website, through your website. Mm-hmm. And please, you want to explain, when you purchase merch, when you buy things from there, it helps also. You said about your mum.
Oh, yeah. The merchandise, that was your idea. So I went ahead and did it, but it was something I wasn't going to do in the beginning. And I did. I'm going to blame you for it. But I thought, this is a good opportunity. For those of you that don't know, Harvey's wife, my mom, Jean, is still alive. She is 79 and she's still working. Okay. Why is she working? Because she has a mortgage. And my husband and I help her out, every way we can. But that's the reality. So I decided that all of the profits we get from the merchandise, I'm going to put toward the principal on her house. And I'm actually going to have a tally and show, how much it is and how much we're making so that it's open, transparent. And so that would be help. And we're going to have her on soon. So I'm going to, we might either have her on or I'll do a recording with her and we'll get her take on things. And I think y'all enjoy meeting her.
Oh, it'll be great to get her take on,
Yeah,
and
she can
obviously
answer
her
questions
experiences
about
with
Harvey. Yeah, that I don't know. So.
Oh, it'll be great. And look, people need to know that Harvey was the one that did create this, the Nesara. That was his project. That was his baby.
Yeah. There would be no Nesara without Harvey F. Barnard. Period. All of it stemmed from his work that was co-opted by the Dove of Oneness, and then once he passed away, it was off to the races. But this wouldn't even be a subject of interest if it were not for his original work.
Exactly. So she wouldn't have known to do this little grift of her. She would have come up with her own something else. And we went through that whole thing. Remember, please watch the previous Real Nesara Show episode that we spoke about fact and fiction. We covered that, didn't we, Dee?
Yeah, we did.
A lot of detail.
It's a lot of good information, and you'll find out, what you need to know about the grifters.
Exactly. And look, the only way we're going to stop this, guys, is through us. The only way.
That's right.
Now, the more we bring it out there, the more we share this out, because we need to get this out there. We need the message to get out there. And it's very important that we help the algorithm. Remember, we're living in a digital age. So the more thumbs up, the more great comments, the more we share this message far and wide, the more people wake up and they get to know what's really going on. Because you know what it is, Dee? It's getting to that point now where things are getting right down to the crunch, so to speak. Right? You could see that the world is changing. There is escalation. You could see it, right?
Yeah.
All these false flags, because there's a lot of false flags going on. You could see
There
it.
is. Yeah, you can see them everywhere.
Exactly. And what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to empower people with the truth, with the facts and receipts, the knowledge. Very important. That is exactly what's going to get us through all this, not the fake hopium, lies and deception, because that's exactly what they've been fed. Now, what's going to happen in the end when everything comes crashing down, Dee? That's what I think about. I think about those people, and it's like, when are they going to wake up? When are they going to know? And then it's going to be too late for them, because then it's going to be a very harsh realization.
It is. And so that's what another, you couldn't have said it better, to reach as many people as possible and let them know that, this is the truth. And like we talked about earlier in the show, fighting those algorithms, and, that is the monster of our day. So shares, likes, just as much as you can. And, if you see another, one of the grifter sites, all you got to do is hit the button and say, hey, reporting for misinformation. And you think, I'm just one person. What can I do? These are the kinds of things that you can do. It's simple. You're there. Click it.
Exactly. Now, you're going to get a lot more people, shall we say, trying to fight against you. Right?
I've been dealing with that for a while. So it's yeah. Look, I could not do this. I did this whole experience in the last month has been just amazing. If it had not been for FCB and his team, who you found me, okay, and how did he find me? Because he was searching for the truth, and to have someone with this kind of reach, say, yes, I hear you, and you're there, and this is the truth, and I want to help. It means more than you have no idea, because I have been up against really more than I thought, actually, because you brought so much stuff to my attention about how far it had gone, how deep it had gone, how big it had gotten, that I wasn't aware of. And but together and with everybody's help, we can make a difference.
We can, guys. We can do, make a dent in this, because that's what we're doing. You think about it, right? Mm-hmm. How can they dispute? I mean, obviously, they can't attack the message, but they go after the messenger, us, right?
Yeah.
Because they can't attack the message. Now, they can say stupid things that make no sense, because they're illogical. They won't make any sense at all. Mm-hmm. They've got nothing to say, or they'll say something and it's stupid. Like you've seen that the AI business is still going on. The ridiculousness
All right.
You know what I mean? And the problem is that there are major players out there. I mean, they got hundreds of thousands or 500,000 followers, and they just got a huge reach, and they're just basically spreading lies and deception.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and so again, that's what we're up against, and it's going to take all of us plus, to get the truth out there, and but I'm not going anywhere. And
no, don't you worry, I'm not going anywhere.
Going anywhere. We're going to be here, and we are still going to be, telling it like it is, and I hope you will continue to show up. I think next time we'll do chapter 3 and 4, maybe. I'll look at I'll work both of them up, and we'll see what happens with our time. But chapter 5 is the bill, and so we're going to really get in depth with that.
So chapter 3 is
chapter 3 for sure, and
which is let's have a quick
4.
read before we go. What page is that one? I want to go and buy a bookmark.
I know. I need one too.
Here we go. Their lips are moving. Requiem for the income tax.
Yes.
Yes, that looks very interesting.
Yeah.
So the lips are moving. Yeah, it sounds like the lips are moving, but no action is happening. Is that what it means?
Requiem for the it
says the Democrats and Republican Party mentions both of them. So.
Yeah,
they all serve the same beast.
He didn't see it as, he was not political, so he didn't think of things in those terms. He saw everybody as one, and everybody is, should have the same, like we talked about, the same shot. So, and the next chapter was chapter 4, negotiating with the warden. So that's chapter 3 and 4, and we'll see. We'll start with 1 and see how far we get.
Awesome. Well, you can say goodbye to everybody, and
goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye to everyone.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I certainly appreciate it. Hope to see you next time. Thanks.
God bless you all. Cheers.
Bye.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. Well, I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. So you couldn't wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. And I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Well, I remember, don't worry. How could I ever forget? It's the first time, the last time we ever met. Oh, so